Well, hello there, friends, and welcome to Strangers in the Night, your source for late night VR gaming talk. I am your host, Wes, and with me, as always, are my good friends. What's up, Eric?
What's up, fellas?
How you doing tonight, bro? And my good friend, Roots. Roots, Thursday is upon us, friend. Shit be dropping today.
We did it.
Oh, and we finally got the weird. It's always some technical weird gremlin that's crawling around inside our computers. This time it was Eric's, and he was
People don't
tearing all sorts of shit up.
people don't believe us. Seriously, this always fucking something. It's like everything is different. If it's not an audio issue, it's a video issue. It's just never ending.
Yeah,
That's
It's
what
not
you
us.
get for buying expensive monitors and shit, man. This is the price.
I think it's monstrosity.
Yeah.
It's cool,
My
but it's crazy.
seriously, my wife hates me right now. She hates me.
Well, dude, your graphics card hates you right now.
I
I
kind of
guarantee you it's like burning up.
I kind of hate you because I want to
Running,
have it.
running Cyberpunk in here. I swear it was like 100 degrees in here with my graphics
Yeah,
card.
it's still warm in here from playing it, and I turned it off a couple hours ago.
The good news is we're so close to the cool air or nights, right? Where that won't be the problem. Eric, I imagine you, whatever it is that you indulge in when you're not VRing 99.999% of the time, maybe it's Fortnite, whatever, sitting in front of that fucking screen, full screen. That thing is crazy, dude. That's super cool.
Yeah, it's big. It's a big boy for sure. I don't know. It's you know what's nice though is I can have like 7 different screens without having different monitors. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's nice.
Yeah, and because there is jank that goes along with multiple monitors. I've had it. You got to make sure the refresh rate's correct, and then like I don't know, man, flashes of weird stuff, and then your OBS is froze in the middle of a stream. I guarantee it doesn't happen on one monitor. So.
It better not
How,
for the price they paid for it.
how do you think the temperature of your room is going to do over the next couple of days? As we got new stuff coming out tomorrow/today, Eric, and I don't know about you, but I plan on playing quite a bit of VR myself.
Yeah, I might do like 12 hours of it on Friday.
Maybe.
Oh,
You know, I
maybe.
still haven't worked out. Have you put brackets up for that yet? Because I don't even know when I'm playing.
I already got you down, man. You're just gonna play when I say it's time to play.
He's got
All
us
right,
for
cool, man.
three
I'll stay on
hours.
call.
I have you for a 3-hour slot between like I don't know what was it like 6 and 9, something like that.
Well, last time we played, we did our horde run was longer than that.
I know. That's gonna be the toughest thing because I have so many people coming in and out. I mean, we're gonna have Tam2 stop in, I think, maybe, and Disco VR, Tatiana VR, and Mateo's coming in for a little bit, and these guys, they can't stay for a whole horde run. I mean, I'm lucky if I get them in here for an hour, maybe hour and a half. So
You got to
it's
get
gonna be
harvest at some
it's
point.
gonna be a lot of harvest runs, and hopefully you get through a harvest run maybe in an hour, and then when the real players get in, then we go for horde run.
Well, I to be honest, I could use some harvest runs because, again, that last one that we did, that last horde map we did, we made it to level 69, and that ain't cheap, brother. That ain't cheap,
It's crazy.
I think you died on purpose so we would end on 69. I really do.
dude. You died. You were the last one out. But we were literally there was two zombies left in the wave, two regular ass zombies from making it to level 70, and yeah, man.
Crazy.
We fell in battle.
Six
We
red
did get 6 red discs and like I don't know how many, like 2 gold ones.
at
It
least, yeah.
was it
Honestly.
was nuts.
So let me ask you this, because I keep hearing this 6 red discs. What did you get from the discs? Because many times I've said, oh, I got a red disc or whatever it is. And then I get back to the thing and I'm like, or whatever it is they give to me. It's like, oh, this ain't shit. It's not as good as you didn't get what you wanted, right? Did you get what you wanted, Wes? Out of 6 discs?
Not everything that I wanted. I still need a better grip for my LMG, but I got a couple of mods. You know the mod things that give you like the chance of crit in your shots. I got that for a couple of weapons, and I got the Shockwave wrist device,
Cool.
which I still haven't tried out because I don't want to give up the wrist rockets. The wrist rockets are so good, like I don't want to switch off to something else.
So how do you know that it's not like make the wrist rockets look like shit? Like this is
Because
like,
you have to. the way you use it is by punching,
Yeah, it's not.
and
You don't want
man,
to punch?
I'll tell you what I do want to do is they're getting ready to add another one
Yeah.
today / tomorrow. That's a saw blade. That's kind of
Ooh.
like the Mega Man saw blade that bounces off walls and shit
Oh my
and just
god.
clears everything out.
It
Damn.
does too. You can't aim it or anything. Like you can aim the initial shot, but after that, it just kind of like goes wherever.
It's like pinball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be super cool.
Ultimex dropping today again, free on Steam and Quest platforms. I mean, we come a nut here of doing that one again tonight. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Although after watching those videos today on the PSVR 2, I want to wait for everything for that. No, I don't want to wait for everything. As a ways to wait, but man, can't wait to talk about that stuff.
And then NFL Pro Era launches today, officially licensed NFL football simulator game for VR, multiple platforms. I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I'm glad that we're finally getting one of these games. Coming from a pretty much unknown developer though, so I'm trying to guard my feelings. But if this is good, I mean, it could turn out to be really good, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I hope
absolutely.
so.
There's
Like,
no
it's just-
real good there's no real good real sports game. And before anybody says 2MD football or whatever, which is really good, I'm talking about for people that are just coming into VR from flat gaming, looking at from Madden. You know what I mean? Like at some point we need to progress further than 2MD.
I'm just so worried, man. I hope it's good. I just hope it doesn't even have to be great. Just be good. Just be really solid good. You know what I mean? And that's good enough with with the NFL behind it. That's good enough. But don't be dog shit. Please just don't be dog shit because that turns a whole bunch of people off to VR. Because there will be people that go out and buy a Quest because hey, I can play Madden in VR, and they're gonna get in there, and if it's bad, man, that's gonna be bad. I just all these big games worry me when you're like, all right, this is a headset seller, and then they turn out to be dog shit. So just
So
be
a
good.
word of advice to all you aspiring new VR developers out there:
Dog shit.
don't be dog shit.
Please.
Don't be dog shit. Don't be a cooking game.
Yeah.
You don't like cooking games, Mash?
Well, you know.
Fun. I just got my key for Star Tenders today on PSVR.
Oh, are you ready?
I've been ready, bro. Born ready. Anyway, we do have a lot to talk about today, a lot to recap, although I think we're going to be able to structure it a little bit differently than our kind of free for all we had earlier today. But before we do that, let's say hello to our friends in chat. We've kept them waiting long enough. Mr. Lord Beavis says, "Whoop, Ultimex, yeah, dude, it's the best free game I've played in a while." We'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It was fun.
Genetic Blasphemy is here. Either way, it helps that Sony's going to have a PC launcher on top of the store it's already got. Now, that's a good point. Somebody was saying earlier in the chat, I don't know, they were saying something about, oh, yeah, I don't know. I remember somebody was saying that they wish they could play something on PC. And, it was one of the PSVR exclusives. That's not outside the realm of possibility anymore. We keep hearing about PlayStation PC. And I'm kind of indifferent to it. I think it would be something cool. I'm more in the camp of I want PSVR 1 remasters on PSVR 2. I'd pay for them again. Like I'd pay for my favorite games again if they were a 4K remaster with like advanced haptics and all the stuff PSVR 2 is going to bring with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of people would, but I mean, there's been so many people that, like even Brian Paul, I think, said that they probably wouldn't happen just because they don't want those games to be. They don't want the lesser quality. Well, unless it's a remaster, right? Would it be a remaster, or are you just talking those
I'm
same
talking
games on the?
He's talking full
about remasters.
remaster with
No, a
haptics
lot
and
of
everything.
people want
Yeah.
a lot of people want free backwards compatibility, which would be cool. But I mean, if it's not going to be, upgraded and remastered, then I mean, I've got a headset that I can play that stuff on already. I don't need that convenience, although it would be nice. I want remasters, man. I want Rush of Blood, crisp and clear. I want Here They Lie, crisp and clear with motion controls. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's coming.
Midlife Kid is here. I hope so. Guido's here. What's up, Guido? Techno Glitch is here. Mepper is here. Traveling Man, good to see you again. Radio Runt, what's up? Fluke Rogi, good morning. Bluebell's here. Hello. And Wolveraza is here. And that's all my top chat is showing me. So if I missed you, I apologize. Thank you, everyone who showed up and showed out for us tonight. All right, guys. So why don't we kick it off with the start of the show and talk a little bit about PSVR 2? Man, the highest of highs and the lowest of lows over the last couple of days. We got all pumped up, feeling like yesterday was going to be the day that the dam finally broke on PSVR 2 news. We knew that a state of play was coming. We knew that PSVR 2 was going to be there. And in spite of knowing going in that it's going to be focused on mostly Japanese games and that it's only 20 minutes long, only 10 games, we had hopes that at the very least we saw one new title. And I mean, Roots, how many times have we said it? Expectations lead to speculation, and speculation leads to disappointment, and we never learn, do we?
Yeah, this one I almost felt was different. I felt like this thing, maybe, I guess it's every time it's expectation. We expected them to show us something we didn't know. I mean, I guess, and like I said, we got Galaxy's Edge the enhanced edition, which, you know, after watching all the videos that I watched today, means a lot more to me than, because yesterday I don't know what does enhanced edition mean. Well, now I kind of have a good idea. Actually, I have a really good idea from watching Eurogamer's video, just him talking about it. So yeah, super cool.
Yeah, Eric, I felt kind of bad yesterday because, I mean, people were pretty much universally shitting on this state of play, VR enthusiasts. And I felt like, you know, how good these games are, the ones that did get announced, kind of got lost in the wash here in all of everybody's disappointment. And I don't know about you, but immediately after we went off the air, I went straight to the PlayStation blog and read the articles on these games. And all of a sudden, I'm excited again. Did you read the blog post on Demio?
I did, and I spoke to Amber this morning, and their whole team is extremely excited, and that was one of the things that I kept saying over and over again during our coverage of it was I'm super happy for Resolution Games, and if you are not, if you're a PlayStation VR only player, this is big news because you want to play Demio. You've wanted to play Demio for a long time, and if you didn't have access to it, you weren't playing it flat PC, you weren't playing it through Quest, or you weren't playing it through your PC VR headset, and you want to play this game, this is big news. And the fact that you're going to be able to play this flat on a console is big news as well. You're going to bring a ton of new players into Demio. I'm super happy for Resolution, and this is a big game. That being said, still disappointed.
Yeah, well, I was too until I woke up today, but we'll get to that in a moment. I do want to read a little bit of this Demio blog post for those of you who missed it. For those of you who are out there saying, why would I want to buy Demio again? I already have it on 2 platforms. Well, let me tell you. And I'm just going to read through a little bit of this. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but we did miss Sunday. So I think we have a little bit of this type of thing to make up for. And now we're delighted to announce that we'll be bringing Demio to PlayStation VR 2 and PlayStation 5 in 2023 with a wealth of great features that truly make this one of the best ways to experience Demio yet. Haptics in the PSVR 2 Sense controller's headset and PS5's DualSense wireless controller will each play a role in immersing you deeper into Demio than ever before. And it's not just big moments like being rocked by a fireball or other offensive spells. Imagine reaching down with your PSVR 2 Sense controller to pick up the different game pieces and feeling a different weight to each of them. That's the level of depth we're aiming to capture with our haptics implementation. The visual fidelity of both PS5 and PSVR 2 have given us plenty of reason to revisit our graphics to take advantage of what's possible on PlayStation hardware. If you thought the heroes and monsters looked intimidating before, just wait until you see them with our latest shaders. Refresh rate is a crucial part of creating a comfortable virtual experience too, which is why we're delighted to take advantage of the 120 hertz refresh on the PSVR 2. Thanks to hardware level eye tracking capabilities, we'll also be able to bring a little magic to our menus. PSVR 2 players will be able to make selections in Demio's menus with little more than a blink of an eye. It's surprisingly fast experience that gets you into your next game in no time flat. So this is what I'm talking about, Roots. This is the type of things that we want to see from ports. And again, I just kind of think that in our disappointment yesterday, ideas like this kind of got lost on us, and I feel like we kind of short sold these games just a little bit.
Yeah, and like Mash said, we were very clear, and I said in the Discord today that we're excited for Resolution Games and Demio and for the players, but I didn't even consider myself in that equation. And I'm running into that now. I've gone back and forth between the PlayStation 5 and my PC from flat games. One can do the haptics, then I got more graphics. Like I'm gonna have both in this PlayStation VR 2, and everything you just read sounds amazing, right? Like just the immersion level, all those little things are going to add up, and I guarantee it's going to make you feel like you're in there a lot more. I wonder what the basement will look like in the PSVR 2 room, right? Or
Here's the
version.
thing. Here's the thing, though. That's fantastic. 99% of the people know nothing about that. They have to have us tell them about it because nobody else knows. Hit a little bit of that yesterday. Take a cut, cut the 2024 game that you just showed out, and you give a couple more minutes to tell us
Or the
about that.
NFT, the
Yeah,
NFT bullshit.
whatever the hell those things were called. That was garbage too. Yeah, I mean, give us a little bit of that info because you know what? 99% of the people are not going to go and read that blog, especially the people that you're trying to hit, which is people that are maybe not VR gamers yet that you want to become VR gamers. Give them something else to look forward to, or give the person that is a Quest owner a reason to go buy Demio. You know what I mean? And or here's the other thing: give me one big game with those two, and it's a different story. We're saying, oh wow, they're going to get that game, and then bam, here's your big game that's not been announced yet that we didn't know about. Then there's a whole different feel to this state of play. It's not the games that are in there that's the problem. It's the pacing of the state of play and the lack of a big new title. If they just changed it a little bit, change the feel of it, the feel of it is completely different because we would be cheering those two titles that are there, and then we would really be freaking out about the one that they just announced.
Well, let me ask you this: what if, instead of kind of the embargo dropping this morning on all of this coverage, what if it had dropped immediately at the end of that state of play yesterday? Do you think that would have changed the attitude a little bit?
I mean, it would have helped it for sure because people were shitting all over PlayStation yesterday, and it wasn't just VR people either; it was flat people too. So, Sony got killed in the state of play. So maybe that would have helped. Um,
Well, that's why a banger would have helped.
yeah,
Something that would have really impressed the flat gamers and thought, fuck, man, I need to get into VR. And that's an opportunity when you're leading with flat game news and it's something that every PS player is watching. That's when you want to hit them with something, right? And show them what can we do in VR. Now, I would submit Resident Evil 8 is fucking huge, especially this is the thing. Everything kind of went into context with what came out today, right? After watching all these videos, it made me look at everything differently. Like every game, and especially watching them talk Eurogamer talk about Resident Evil 8. I'm like so psyched to play that. I would never go touch that Prey Dog trash with respect. It's amazing. But
Yeah.
compared to this, it's going to be nothing, So
Yeah, I hadn't, and we'll talk more about the games in a little bit, but I hadn't committed to not going back into the Prey Dog mod until today. Like,
yeah.
me too.
I hadn't been back in yet, but I hadn't made my mind up whether or not I was going to do it. Now I'm sure I don't want to. I've played enough. I played just enough to know what I can expect now when this thing is properly done by Capcom. I can't wait, but I'm going to.
Yep,
Uh,
absolutely.
Let's see, Traveling Man, or was it Traveling Man? Hold on, let me see. Yeah, he says, "Man, I blink without thinking." Imagine that. Like, if you're going to be able to select things in the menu by looking at them and blinking, how many times are you going to pick the wrong thing? It's going to be like playing Rush of Blood on the PS5.
It's gotta be somehow smarter than that because yeah, I mean it's crazy. I thought that was one of the coolest things too, is like it looks like setting up your play space is actually set to be easy. You just look around and it just kind of, if you don't want to fine tune it, it'll just get the gist of it and you go. So
Yeah, it certainly seems like like an advancement on the software. And let's talk about that a little bit. So let's get into some of today's news, and I want to kind of break it down a little bit earlier, a little bit differently than we did earlier on Without Parole. Earlier, we just kind of jumped from media source to media source and kind of dissected what each one had to say about it. I want to do a little bit different here. I want to talk a little bit about what we learned about hardware. I want to talk a little bit about what we learned about software, and then I want to talk about the games. Hardware, pretty much what we expected here. You know, lightweight, comfortable design, almost one to one in terms of form factor with the original PSVR, which is fine. I mean, the original PSVR still stands as the most comfortable headset on the market, so I'm glad they didn't deviate from it too much. Still got a cable, although everyone says the cable's nice and long, lightweight, and most all of them said that they didn't notice it after having the thing on for about 5 minutes. So that was great. Um, we did learn some things though. They did show us the button layout and talk a little bit about what each function does. Um, Eric, particularly was impressed with how advanced the eye calibration is now compared to the Gen One. Now that we have eye tracking and a physical IPD dial, that seems like it's going to be fairly seamless to set up and keep a profile saved on in your PS5, so you can jump right into your games
Yeah.
going forward.
So from what I could tell, because they were talking about having it be an auto IPD adjustment with the eye tracking, and you're gonna have a physical dial as well. So you're gonna be able to do it. You're gonna be able to dial in yourself. Plus, it'll do it for you if you choose to, which I think is neat because not every time. Sometimes when you do these things, they don't exactly fit exactly what you want, and then you're kind of stuck with it, right? But this way, if it's not exactly the way you want, doing the automatic IPD, you can just adjust it on your own as well, which I think is which is a smart move.
Well,
Uh,
I think the way that it's working, the eye tracking is kind of an automatic setup, and they can tell you from that what your IPD should be set at. You still have to dial it in with the dial, and
so it won't
but
move the lenses on its own.
no, it doesn't automatically move the lenses, but it tells you when you've got it in the right spot.
it's
So
there's that app on your phone that you can actually, for VR, that you can hold up and it'll measure your eyes. And like I just did it, that customer I was talking to the other day, he showed me it was, mine's 64.6 or something, just under 65. And so I would imagine it's the same software, and then like Wes said, it shows you and then you just fine tune it in.
yes, there's a like a cartoony model of a dude in there, or your eyes or something, and when you've got it in on just the right spot, the eyeballs turn green, so it tells you, all right, stop, you're where you need to be.
Do you think it'll,
Uh,
will you guys feel weird the first time that you're like looking at a character model, some hot chick, and you just happen to glance at her butt for a second, and then the game recognizes it and she calls you out on it and because that you're gonna see all sorts of weird stuff like that, right? Because they know where your eyes are looking now. Gotta be careful, guys.
yeah, and you know what? It's all going to depend on what game you're playing, because I was playing Cyberpunk earlier today, and my eyes wandered more than once, and I don't think those chicks would have minded at all.
Uh,
They're all
yeah,
over it.
yeah, absolutely.
Uh, Sticking to the hardware bit, we did learn about this new face gasket. This is a bit of a different design from the one that was on the original PSVR, kind of an accordion style flexible thing, which apparently has plenty of room for glasses in there, which is great. And not only that, but completely blacks out all light. And everyone who talked about that said you can't see a sliver of light, which is, again, it might seem like a small thing to some people, but I don't think I can say that about any of the many VR headsets that I've tried. Have you ever tried one on, Eric, that has a perfect fitting face gasket on it?
I don't think so. Not a perfect for
It
everybody's face. Like, is it? I mean, and everybody's face is different. Is it going to be perfect for everybody? Because I
yeah,
mean,
it's
Accordion
flexible. The
style.
way it
yeah, but
moves, it forms to your face.
I gotta see it for myself on everybody's face because you guys know I've tried tons of headsets at all these shows. I've never found one that was perfect. You know what I mean? That was perfect for everybody. There's usually something that's a little bit off. Um, Especially some of these Chinese headsets where the nose piece is way too small for most
Bigot.
people. I'm just saying, they're the way they are. The nose pieces are way smaller than you would think, and I don't know. I can't wait to see it. I mean, if anybody's gonna do it right, I guess believe it's gonna be PlayStation. So I'm looking forward to it. But I hope it's right. I mean, blacking out completely is really really cool, man. If you can get complete immersion, although you're not gonna be able to see your cell phone when somebody calls you in your VR.
Yeah.
Genetic Blasphemy says Dreams has jiggle physics. Well, I'm gonna have to get War Garble on making me a motorboat simulator, right?
Hey,
Hell
that's
yeah,
a
Uh,
what do you think they're gonna port over that sailing game into PSVR 2 with the
oh
extra
God, I
haptics
hope
and stuff?
so.
Greenverse.
Yeah, Marineverse.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
feel the wind blowing on your face. Actually that would be a good thing for like sailing games or anything like that, right?
I mean, yeah, there's so many uses for the headset haptics and the advanced haptics and the controllers. I think again, and a couple of the interviews mentioned this today. It's not like any one department is revolutionary, groundbreaking new tech. But this device is going to be the sum of all its parts, and all this little stuff like haptics, like triggers, like OLED HDR screens. All this stuff adds up to a profoundly different experience. And it for the first time ever, and we've heard a couple of people say this today, for the first time ever, it seems like VR is coming into some at least some of its potential, right? Like this is what we always knew it could be, and now it's finally getting there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Roots, when you talk about a face gasket that fits perfectly, um, the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm not sure I want that because I always, uh, I mean, it would cause potentially a couple of issues. First of all, I like that little gap so that I can see things. Sometimes I need to grab my controllers or look at my cell phone or do something like that. I mean, uh, I can't always get especially if you're streaming PlayStation, you can't get your chat in the headset. So you need to look at your phone if you're going to talk to the chat.
Mm.
Also, you know, fogging. Fogging is an issue on every VR headset, and even the ones that have, um, gaps in the face gasket, the lenses still fog up from time to time. You have to pull them away. Luckily, Sony has built-in solutions to both of these problems. Of course, we already know about the revolutionary uh, vent that's built into the front of this thing, which people did talk about today, and apparently it works quite well. Little to no fogging, but the pass-through. There's a pass-through. They call it see-through mode. There's a dedicated button for it that's easy to find right on the headset, and it's not like Quest pass-through. It is black and white, but apparently, Roots, this thing is going to be crystal clear and very usable. I think for the first time, we might have a VR headset that we can actually stay in for hours and hours.
Yeah, well, especially because of the comfort as well. And that pillow on the back looked so comfortable, and the old one was amazing. But yeah, I think it's going to be an amazing headset to use for sure.
Eric, the controllers. We already know that they're a bit of a different form factor with a familiar button layout. Um, aces across the board on the ergonomics here. Most people say they felt like they were custom made for their own hands. And what I thought was really cool is even though these have a grip button like most modern VR controllers have, most people say you can't feel the button. You just grab things in VR and it doesn't even feel like you're pressing a button. You just grab naturally and it just works. Exciting news to hear that these controllers are going to be as high end as we thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I love hearing that. With that the adaptive triggers were so good. They were talking about, I think it was the Star Wars game. where they could feel the difference in shooting between you could feel more kickback in the controllers. You could feel more difference in shooting the weapons with the triggers. And then they said you could feel different things with doing different power ups with the triggers as well. So I think that's going to be amazing. That is a big part of making an enhanced version, not just the graphics. You're making it a whole, that whole Star Wars game is going to be completely different because of the things that they're going to be able to do in that game. It won't just be the graphics. It'll be a mixture of things. And yeah, I mean, just the haptics in that. They were talking about playing Call of the Mountain and pulling the bow back and feeling the resistance. And I think I don't remember who it was, but somebody said they felt they were in Call of the Mountain, and they put their hand up and they brushed like foliage as they were passing by in the boat, and it felt like a light touch on their hand, like if they were wearing a glove and something touched it. That is crazy good haptics for a controller. You're not getting that from a touch controller. So
Well, I
those
know
things,
I, I know that both of you guys have used the PS5 Sense controller in the limited applications that it has had so far. Have either of you used the Nintendo Switch Joy Cons?
I have, but it's been a while.
which is
That,
what,
that,
what do you mean by the Joy Cons? It's like that
The
the
little
ones that
controllers. The
come
yeah,
little.
with
the
this.
controller.
Yeah, I've used them.
Yeah, that was probably my first real experience with the potential that this advanced kind of haptics has. There are many games that you can play on Switch, and one of them particularly that I remember is the game is you have a number of marbles inside your controller, and you can shake it and feel them rolling around in there. And the game is guess how many's in it,
Oh wow.
and you're good at it. Like it feels like if there's three marbles, you can feel three in it. So when you hear people like Resolution Games talking about picking up the game pieces and that they have different weight, your brain logically says there's no way that they can make it do that. But I've experienced things with these kinds of haptics before that I wouldn't think would be possible. So I'm going to reserve judgment on that until I have it in my hand. But I am cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's going to be amazing. I mean, we know that that PlayStation knew what they were doing when they did this, and how they move this from the PlayStation 5 controller to the PlayStation VR 2 controller. I think it was one of the smartest things they did. You're going from the Move controllers to these truly, next gen controllers. It's going to be something that we've never seen before.
Killer Sam in the chat asked, "How do I find the time to do all of these hosting of channels?" Well, I broke my foot and I haven't been to work in 2 months, so that's how I'm doing it right now. I don't know how I'm going to maintain it, but yeah, man. What have we've done? One, two, three. We've done three so far this week with two live streams on top of that, and we canceled Sunday's show. So yeah, I've been busy to say the least.
Wes doesn't sleep. That's how he does it.
That's how he does it when he's not working, or when
I
he is
sleep all
working.
day. That's
He-
how I
he-
do it. I sleep all day and do VR shows at night.
Mhm.
Um, Not all sunshine and rainbows. Upload VR, particularly critical of a couple of things. We heard a little bit of the same criticisms from Road to VR. Um, you know, we're excited to have OLED screens in a headset again. It's been a while, and I think a lot of people have forgotten the benefits of having OLED screens. But at the same time, a lot of people are forgetting some of the downsides. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. Apparently, Roots, some reports of Mura once again
Mm.
rearing its ugly head on PlayStation VR. Now, this was something I had more of a problem with on Oculus Rift. It is noticeable at times on PSVR, but it never really was to the point that it bothered me. Are you at all worried about Mira?
I am today after playing Rush of Blood because that was one of the things. It's dark in there, and you could see the mirror on there. It's like a weird smudge, and so I mean, I guess the fact that somebody's talking about it means that it's there. So, whether it'll be a problem for me or not, I don't think it will be. I mean, I still enjoyed my time in Rush of Blood. So I'm more excited about the amazing colors and just everything that they talked about, how good it looks, right? So
Yeah, yeah. I think that these are going to be exceptionally high quality OLED panels. But again, Mira is always present with OLED, especially consumer grade. Obviously, if this was going to be a $2,000 headset, we would expect a lot less of that, but it's not going to be, right? It's going to be $500 or less. We expect. Um, and,
Yeah.
and, and
Eric laughs. I think it might be 600 too, man. I'm
it
starting to
could be.
think
It
it's
could be.
599 is probably the sweet spot.
It
Do you
could be.
do you think they can, with software optimization, get rid of the hardware problem of the mirror? That's the only thing. Mirror is a hardware problem. It is. It's a screen problem. But do you think with optimization with the software they can reduce it as they go?
It's certainly theoretically possible. The Oculus Rift used to have something on it called the Spud tool, and
Right.
it was designed to minimize Mira, but it had other like drawbacks to using the Spud tool. I think didn't we used to disable that thing by
Mhm.
default and just deal with the Mira?
Yep.
I turn what was it, the Spud tool? I think you can turn it. I thought you turn it off or you turn it on or something. Got rid of my Mura on my CV1. There was a way to actually like get rid of it because it bothered me so much. I think but it gave you. They say it gave you more God rays, but I didn't notice it.
I didn't use this,
Um,
but I thought it was terrible.
Yeah, I never turned mine off. I didn't have as bad an experience with it as Roots did or any of the other people that that were in my circle at the time. But it's a subjective thing. Certain people are more sensitive to it than others, and it's not universal. It differs from screen to screen. Every screen has its own level of Mira, so it's kind of a lottery thing. It's luck of the draw with it as well. I don't expect it to be a major problem, but there probably will be a few people complaining about it. Hopefully, we all get good ones.
You're
one
exactly right that way too, because it happened to me with my Valve Index. People talk about God rays on the Valve Index all the time, and so people are like, I don't have any God rays, and for me, I just got a bad one because I think I have the worst God rays in the world, and then it's something it makes it a unwant. I don't want to be in there because it's that bad, and some people don't
Yeah.
have it at all.
Uh, Also had some reports of reprojection. Apparently, one of these games was running at a 120, but it was a false 120.
mm,
It was 60
double.
upscaled to 120. Right. So basically, they duplicate every other frame so that they can hit that 120 frames without rendering 120 frames. This is something again, much like the Mira. Uh, one, while others, such as myself, rarely noticed it. Either of you guys worried about reprojection at all with this thing?
I don't think so. I think it'll be run amazing. So,
Yeah,
I
and
am not, because I think it's gonna be on the developer, and I think PlayStation will tell them not to do it that way because it's not something that's automatically done. You can either do it that way or you can run it, natively at 90 hertz or 120 hertz. So I think they're gonna quickly find out that they're not gonna want to run it that way, and I think the developers won't do it that way.
yeah, I'm hopeful that there will be options R and PCVR. Typically, they let you choose your frame rate. And most high end games do anyway. And if there's a 120 hertz mode, it's optional. It's not defaulted. So I'm sure that the this is going to be this isn't going to be a problem for very many people. On PSVR one, some people complained about it on there. I only ever really saw it on Iron Man, and that was before I got my PS5. It's gone now, so yeah, I'm not really too concerned at all about the reprojection or reported reprojection on this prototype version of these demos. So, what's up, Chinatown D? Joining us in chat. Good to see you. Ready for some ATF later today? Like I know my household is pumped, ready for it.
Could
People
be
going
right
to bed
now.
early.
It's after midnight. Maybe it dropped. Maybe it's there right now. D, is it
Re-
there? Go check.
Real time review time on the fly.
I'd do it.
Let's see here. Anything left with the hardware? Oh yeah, one more thing. Fresnel lenses. Some very big and imposing Fresnel lenses. No reports of God rays, which is promising, but no one mentioned it one way or another. Now, I wanted to reach out to Mike, to Ian Higdon, to some of these people that have, had the opportunity to have it on their face and have played VR before and would actually know what I'm talking about.
Mm.
But as I mentioned earlier today, none of these people follow me on Twitter, so I can't DM any of them. So if any of you happen to see this, anyone who has actually played this thing, please hit us up on Discord, on Twitter, in the comments below. Let us know if there are any God rays. Roots, I know that God rays are something that was pretty prominent in the early days of VR. Quest almost completely did away with it. The new Fresnel lenses are much better than the old ones. And we know that Sony released a patent over the last couple of years for a new kind of Fresnel lens that's supposed to completely negate God rays. So I'm hopeful that that's what's at play here.
I think you're going to be accurate with that. Just because they've taken so much care for every aspect. It's like almost like they've been thinking about VR from the get-go, from like the day that they put out the PSVR 1, they were already working and thinking about the second one, right? So it definitely, I'm not worried about it. I think Wolvie, I think Radio Run, you should run out and get yours right now, today. Don't
Yeah, I'm
wait.
surprised people in the Discord debating on whether or not they would like to have Bradley's hypothetical Valve Deckard or a
Mm.
PSVR 2. And people were like, Deckard, what are you going to play on it, guys?
Games.
I mean, I thought we were gamers here. What, are you going to play Half-Life Alex on it? I'm sure that'll be great for a while.
Yeah,
What are you going to play on it?
I think people have just decided there's no big games coming to PSVR 2 aside from what we've seen so far. And it's just it's such a weird thought because we haven't even got the price or a release date or anything. I guarantee there's probably a dozen more titles we're going to hear at least before release, right? So
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We've only heard one first-party title, and that's Horizon.
right.
Everything else is ports.
No matter how much we kill this state of play they had yesterday, it just means they just didn't do a good job with this one. Doesn't mean that there's no games coming. You know what I mean? So I don't. If anybody who's like, "Oh, that's it," I saw that state of play. It was terrible. So now I'm not buying a PlayStation VR 2. That's the wrong take from this. The take is, yeah, that was not a good state of play, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to have 20 banger games that are going to come out that are going to make you want to play it. Going to make you want to buy it. You're not probably going to be able to play somewhere else. So
Here's the thing. Amazon gives you 30 days to send this shit back. Walmart does the same. Like, are you really going to wait until they're sold out and then everybody's telling you how awesome it is and now you can't get one? Like, come on, bro.
yeah, this is the thing. It's all about the experience as well. You know, you can get the Deckard, but the Deckard's not going to have the haptics. I'm assuming it's not going to have the 3D audio. It's not going to have, haptics in the headset or anything that Sony's doing on top of everything else for the immersion, right? So you might have an amazing headset that plays really high fidelity looking games, but it's not going to do all that other stuff. And so you have to think about that as well.
It's going to play the Steam VR catalog in a standalone mode. And it's going to have like WiGig type wireless connectivity. That's all awesome. But it still doesn't change the fact that nothing is coming out on PC VR other than indie games and mods. And we've got perfectly good headsets to play that stuff on right now. So,
right.
yeah.
And
if I had to choose, I know which way I'm going.
Yeah, especially after playing Rush of Blood today, because my thought was, when I was playing it, was like I was thinking about what you said. I was thinking even more so of a full blown sequel, in that headset because it was so good today in the 6-year-old headset. Like I just want that game in another version of it.
It's easy to forget how what console quality means until you get back in there and you remember, oh yeah, this is an evergreen. All of these PSVR 1 exclusives, they're still the best all these years later, even on the old dated hardware.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about the system software. Of course, we already touched on the setup. Extremely easy, automatic room mapping. You just got to look around, and then you can touch it up if you choose to do so, but you don't have to. We talked a little bit about the calibration of the eye tracking. We didn't talk about the fact that they've got the foveated rendering, the dynamic foveated rendering, up and running already. And while I mean, it's hard to quantify what that has meant for games, there's two real takeaways with it. One, you don't notice it. Everyone says that they were told it was on and being utilized. No one could see it, which is a big step up from PSVR 1, where the fixed foveated rendering was very noticeable. Apparently, the dynamic foveated rendering, you don't notice it at all. And the other thing that we took away from it today is the one thing that was most unanimous out of all of these reviews was just how awesome the graphics were in these games. People are calling this like PS5 quality graphics, even in games like Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, which is a Quest port. People were blown away by how these games looked, and I got to think that that's in no small part due to the use of the eye tracking and dynamic foveated rendering.
Yeah, that's crazy that they can do that as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like that foveated rendering is amazing.
But John Carmack said it wasn't worth the trouble.
Yeah, I think he was wrong or lying, or they hadn't
How
figured it
dare
out at
you?
that time.
How dare you?
How dare you?
Didn't he say?
Um,
Didn't he say with you in Twitter or something that you were right and he was wrong?
That's true. He did admit.
no. I brought up the fact that there were other uses for eye tracking other than just foveated rendering, and he basically said I had a point there. But um, he maintained that the gains from dynamic foveated rendering aren't what one would think that they would be. But I mean, that's just what the Oculus people, who are brilliant, have been able to get out of it. These Sony guys are completely different guys, and they've amazed us more than once with their optimization. So yeah, again, I'm very optimistic about the promise of what these games are going to be graphically. I mean, we heard people. The guy from GameSpot, when he said we was playing this Horizon Call of the Mountain, literally said this does not look like a Horizon VR game. This looks like a Horizon PS5 game in the headset, and you're in the world with full blown physics. And we'll talk a little bit more about the game in a minute. But people were saying similar things about Village. People were saying similar things about Galaxy's Edge, and even The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, which you know most of the footage we've seen, I mean, there's a graphical upgrade, but it doesn't look like anything like like a profound increase from the original game. So to hear people raving about the way that they were today, again, brings my hype level up quite a bit.
How do you think it feels to be like Toby right now? Toby has got to be like just cheering, right? They're celebrating so hard right
Yeah.
now. This
Earning
sucks.
their money for
He
sure.
did this. You think, and that every other headset company out there is going, you know what? We probably better go to Toby and get our shit done.
EverTag VR says, I'm showering and listening. Well, let me just tell you, GT, if you wash it more than twice, you're not washing it anymore.
You gotta prioritize listen and shower. Not shower and listen.
Think about this. We're in the shower with you, GT. I'm trying not to look, bro. I'm just trying to be polite.
You know who else in a shower with GT?
My mom.
Oh yeah, she does. I told her he's married.
GT's going to be picking beard hair out of his drain all night. All right, let's see. There was something else I wanted to touch on with the software here, but GT's shower images in my head have distracted me, so I got to think about it for a minute. Of course. The tracking. We've talked before with some bit of skepticism with how the inside out tracking would be. This is the first inside out tracked headset that Sony's ever done. Of course, they had camera based tracking for the original PSVR, moving to a completely different tracking technology here. And of course, that opens up a lot of questions. We've seen Oculus, who's done it very well. We've seen HP, who's done it pretty well. And then we've seen HTC, who have tried and tried again, and it just blows every time they do it. So we're wondering, is it any good on Sony? Is it just going to be okay? Is it going to be great? Well, thankfully, we had a true VR enthusiast like Mike at VR Oasis who put the tracking through its paces, and I'm happy to report passed with flying colors. He purposefully occluded the controllers to the headset. It never lost tracking, and the tracking area is apparently pretty impressive as well. Roots, that's a big load off my mind because that was one of the bigger questions I had going in about this thing, and now my mind's put at rest a little bit.
Yeah, and it's the thing they needed to get right. Absolutely. And that was one of the things Wolfie was even concerned about. Because the first one, the tracking was as good as it could be. But I think they did a really good job. I think it's camera placement, right? Mostly, and then software. But Sony doesn't half-ass stuff things, so I wasn't expecting it to be bad, but I did kind of doubt or was hoping it wasn't going to be.
But yeah, camera placement has a lot to do with it. But the moments when the system loses one of the controllers, whether they be occluded one in front of the other or behind your head or behind your back for a few moments, that's all done through predictive software. And, obviously, that's the difference between what HP has and what Oculus has is that Oculus' software is very good at predicting where your hands are at when they can't see them. Eric, very relieved to learn that the Sony software at this early stage already on point.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think there was going to be anything different than this. I mean, it's Sony. You know what I mean? You knew they were going to be good. You knew they weren't going to half-ass this. That being said, we've seen other big companies, drop the ball with this, especially
Sure.
WMR headsets. So, I mean, I know it wasn't really a concern for me, but I'm super glad that they did pick at least one VR guy to go in and review this, and not just have all tech people that don't really have a ton of experience with VR. So I'm so glad that Mike got a chance to go do this, to represent us and check those things out. And you know what I didn't hear anybody say out of all these people? Nobody mentioned that the cord was a pain in the ass, or the cord was a problem,
Right.
or I hate the cord, or I got wrapped up in the cord, or why is there a cord? The only thing I heard was either they said nothing or they said never had a problem with the cord, didn't bother me at all.
Right. And
So
that's no big surprise. Most of us who have enjoyed high end VR over the last 6 years have kind of grown accustomed to it. But it's nice to hear people who have been playing mostly Quest,
exactly.
people who aren't VR enthusiasts, not bitching and complaining about that cord being there. That's very promising.
Yeah, because we
Chris,
have to say that most of these people that did these tests, that did the demo, were not true VR people. They were tech people, from CNET, or covered flat gaming, or covered VR as like a portion of what they do. And most of them were probably Quest 2 owners. And actually, I think a couple of them said, that they only had tried Quest 2. So it was it was super good to see that people, they weren't like focused on it at all.
bunch of Beat Saber players. That's what it was.
You know what I noticed today? I noticed today, even on the old 6-year-old headset, or I don't think it's 6 years old. It's probably the newer model. It was pretty light. It's pretty light now, and it's really thin, and it doesn't bother me. It's actually a long cable, so it seems like they've just made that cable better, and that's good. So
Yeah. Yeah. What they've basically done away with is the breakout box and then all the shit that comes out of that and goes to the machine. That's all gone now.
that's good.
Yeah. Hawk 107
Um,
Upload VR was nagging about the cord. I watched, and I didn't hear him say anything about the cord. You guys?
y- yeah, well, Upload did a couple of things. They did a quick review video and then they did a like an episode of their little talk show thing that
Oh,
they
okay.
do.
Yes, I saw.
Um,
I saw David Heaney do the actual review.
yeah, I felt like it kind of had more of a negative tone than the others. But that's something that I've come to expect from Upload VR. They shit on Sony products as much as they possibly can. So I tend to take what they say with a grain of salt. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the games. Those, of course, are the reason all of us are into VR, at least most of us, and that's what we're looking forward to the most about PSVR 2. And Gamertag in the chat here says Mike from VR Oasis phoned me last night and said Horizon was truly incredible. The best is them all graphically, and you got to remember the best of them all graphically. And you got to remember, he's used the most expensive PCVR headset in the business, so that is high praise. Yeah, this I mean, on one hand, it's surprising, but on the other hand, it's not. This is the only first party game that's been announced yet. It's the only first party game any of them got to play. And despite playing Saints and Sinners 2, despite playing Resident Evil Village and Galaxy's Edge, it was unanimous. Everyone walked away from this saying that Horizon Call of the Mountain is the most immersive VR game that they've ever played, which again, coming from a bunch of Beat Saber noobs isn't saying much, but coming from Mike, coming from Ian Higdon at Eurogamer, this is pretty high praise. What do you guys think about the? We learned a lot more about Horizon Call of the Mountain, and I think most of our questions about it have been answered. Roots, what did you think about it?
I was just blown away. I'm blown away by the haptics the most. Just the fact that you can, I mean, I guess I shouldn't be, because you could feel inside the controller when Astrobot pulled his bow back. Now it's just in your actual controllers, right? And so like it's every aspect of that game. And the way Eurogamer was talking about how amazing it looked in there, I think it's on another level, right? I mean, even Resident Evil Village was amazing. They're talking about it more than that. And I was thinking as I was watching it, it looks more impressive to me than Half-Life Alyx. Like just all the shit going on and the jungle and everything else. Half-Life Alyx looked amazing, but it was a lot of indoor stuff, and it just wasn't what I saw in this video. And I guarantee it's going to probably blow all of us away.
Eric, we've been pining away for years for our Uncharted game in VR, and we've had some fairly close things, some things that kind of remind us, have a little Uncharted flavor. But there were a few people today that described this Horizon game as mainly a climbing and exploration game, and that was just music to my ears.
Yeah, I mean, I love games that have a mixture of everything, and this game has it. I mean, this game is the climb. It's, you know, you have adventure, you have, looks like you have some puzzle solving, you have, you know, shooting with the bow. You know, I love when we see games that have all of it. You know, if it's the whole package with those type of visuals, I mean, we could be talking the best game of all time in a VR game. You know what I mean? So I'm super excited for this title. I think I'm still maybe a little more excited for Resident Evil 8 Village, but I'm probably equally excited for both. But the potential of this title, if it fills out to what it is, and it's a good media experience where you're going to get, you know, good. I think they said like 6-7 hours or 7 or 8 hours. I think they said
Minimum 7. They
yeah,
said if you run through it and don't stop for anything, 7 hours.
yeah.
So it's
I mean,
like 7 to 10 hours.
yeah. So if it's a good experience that whole time, I mean, and that, those graphics and the good, I mean, this could be it. I mean, this could be the one of the best games we've ever played. So I'm super excited for it. And I was, who was that? Was one of them said that the climbing was the best climbing they've ever done in VR, and truly gave them vertigo. Looking down, you
I
know,
think it
from
was
some of the,
Eurogamer.
yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
impressive. You know what I mean? And when you can get that out of a VR game where it really really makes you feel that vertigo, it's going to be something special.
Yeah, that's what we all do this for, right? We're trying to feel things inside that headset. And it seems like at least for a little while until we get used to it, that we're going to be dealing with all sorts of feelings as we play through these
Mm.
games.
Do you
Um,
do you think we're going to be playing in the PlayStation VR 2 and for a few hours, and then we're going to step into our PC VR and we're going to have like kind of the opposite of what we felt when we went from PC to PSVR and you had to adjust. We're going to have to adjust the other direction and slum it in PC VR land for a while.
I think that it's certainly going to knock a little bit of the shine off of these mods. I mean, they seem great right now because we've been playing Quest games for 2 years.
Yeah.
But I think when true AAA VR games arrive, these mods aren't going to seem quite as great as they do today.
Yeah, even the
But
Prey Dog one for Resident Evil 8 is already, like you said, I thought the same thing watching that video. I said, I'm not touching that thing again. As amazing as
yeah,
it is, I want the haptics of as the flies are buzzing around me and all that shit. You know, that sounded so cool in a horror game. think about what I guarantee that's not the only thing you're going to be feeling on your head there, right? So
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
I did hear
Um,
all of them say though that a couple of those scenes in Resident Evil were a little bit off-putting, for like getting them sick. It wasn't like, especially that scene where you're being dragged by
yeah.
the sisters where you have no control. They said, I think it was Mike and maybe somebody else had said that it was a little vomit inducing.
Anybody who's played these mods kind of knows what they're talking about there, because the one of the only downsides to playing these Prey Dog mods is that they still use the flat game cinematics, which weren't meant for VR. So it kind of sounds like maybe there's a little bit of that going on here, where the camera's moving in an unnatural way, and I mean, you can only kind of nerf that to a point without completely cutting parts out of the game, which, these are some fairly significant things that you can't really cut out of the game. So I get it. I know what they're talking about. Hopefully, well, most noobs are probably going to nope out of the game before they get that far anyway.
mm.
But hopefully, we don't have too many problems with people getting sick.
Well, the only other way to fix that would be to put it on like a screen cutscene, and then that would suck. And now we're going backwards, right?
Yep.
So
Before we move on from Horizon, really quickly, a couple more things I wanted to touch on. First of all, a lot of speculation roots going into this thing that this thing could just be a tech demo. And while I think that it's very obvious now that this thing very much is a tech demo, it's not just a tech demo. There's plenty of gameplay that's been kind of integrated into this 10-hour tech demo, which apparently makes use of everything that this headset does well, be it haptics, adaptive triggers, uh, you know, high definition HDR OLED panels, you know, in-game physics, a very interactive world, 3D audio. It integrates all of that into one package. So while I'm sure to some extent this game is being designed as kind of a nerf down tech demo, I don't think I'm any less excited for it today than I was yesterday. In fact, just the opposite. I'm even more excited for it because, in spite of some very clear flaws or downsides with the combat system, most people still walked away. Everyone still walked away from this saying that this is the best game that they've played.
yeah, I'm excited as well. I mean, it's funny. It is kind of like you said, a tech demo. I mean, it's kind of like the Astrobot was like, it showed you everything that the controller could do, right? It gave you a good sample, but this is a 7 to 10 hour sample with a story. And it looks like it, like you said, just from the very beginning, you're on on the journey on that canoe, and then you get off, and it's showing you a bunch of different things. But I'd rather do that than go into Boneworks and experience what they called was not a tech demo. I think that this game is less a tech demo than Boneworks ever could be.
This could be
Yeah,
like PSVR worlds in a game
Yeah,
because you got so many different things here. You've got swimming because they do show an underwater scene where you're swimming. You got climbing. They got combat. They got adventure. They got pretty much everything here. So it's like it's like a tech demo, but that's a real game though.
let's talk a little bit about the movement in combat. Apparently, this thing defaults to Gorn movement, where you have to swing your arms to move around. Now, I do think that this is optional, and you can switch to stick movement in the menu, but that's hearsay. I was told that. I didn't hear it myself. What I did hear for myself from multiple people is the combat system is on rails. So whenever you encounter an enemy, or at least in this demo, you get locked into a circular rail and you kind of dodge in death style, kind of like you have the shards where you
Mhm.
grip and you throw yourself to one direction or the other. And apparently, um, it's a mixture of dodging using that mechanic and shooting using great bow mechanics. Does that concern you at all, Eric? That apparently the combat has been really very much nerfed so that noobs can pick it up easily.
Doesn't bother me as long as it's done well. I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, we've said this a million times. I mean, I don't mind a rail shooter if it's done right, and if the combat still feels good and it still feels like I'm controlling it. Doesn't matter whether I'm moving in an arc or not. If I have to move left or move right, I'm fine with that. What does bother me is that Gorn style of movement. I hope it's not. I hope they give me joystick because I don't like that type of movement.
Hate
Um,
it.
I thought
that
Hate
that
it.
I thought
is
Eurogamer said that you could you can use stick or you could use the thing. I think he said he'd opted to use it the whole time, but I remember him saying you could use joystick.
yeah, I hope
Yeah,
so.
genetic blasphemy backing you up there. Apparently that was said. Apparently I missed that, and that is a big relief off of my shoulders because I agree with Eric here wholeheartedly. Like I'm a bit concerned about the combat, but not nearly as concerned as I was about the movement. Um,
Nobody wants to
Roots
swing their arms. That's
You
2016,
think you?
bro. That's going to be cool
Yeah,
for people that just come into VR because it was
exactly.
cool to us back then, and then we realized I don't want to swing my arms
Yeah, it's a
ever.
gimmick. You do it for 5 minutes, and you're like, "This is dumb. I'm not doing this anymore. I just want to use my joystick."
Yeah,
my hope is that you can break out of that circle and run if you want because I feel like with some of these enemies, like hopefully maybe it's just like the bigger enemies.
Boss.
I would be kind of okay with that if that's how the boss fights are. But there's lots of like grazers and watchers and packs of machines in this world that you kind of have to stealth your way around, and that was a big part of what I played of the original Horizon. Stealth was a big part of that. I don't want to lose that from this gameplay. So I'm hoping that it's not just one enemy at a time, and you get locked into a circle every time you encounter one. Um, but I am hopeful because again, VR veterans telling me that this is the best game they've ever played. I hear that and I believe it.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so let's move along to Resident Evil Village. This was kind of the part of the Eurogamer review that let me know that I was dealing with someone who wasn't just another tech guy, someone who plays VR regularly, because Ian Higdon shouted out Prey Dog in his review. And he said, as amazing as the Prey Dog mod is, and it is amazing, it really is great. I'll stand right here on camera and swear to you all that my favorite game, Resident Evil 7, is better on PC with that mod than it is on PlayStation VR, notably better. So the Prey Dog mods are nothing to sneeze at, and I was just as impressed with Village. And apparently, um, that mod pales in comparison roots to the official Capcom version, which has in-game VR physics built into it, has dual wielding, and again, we've said it multiple times now. Apparently, looks better in VR than it looks on flat. That's incredible.
that is incredible because it looked amazing in the video. And wasn't he able with the physics? He was like, what do you call it? A loop de loo or something. He used some word, and I was like, what the hell is that? I'm assuming it's like something from across the pond, but he was spinning things
Keep
on
you
his
up
gun.
teased. It
Yeah,
was keep you up teased.
yeah, or something. I was like, what is that? I've never heard of that. But he was flipping things around on his gun, and the physics are really amazing. And he was saying how, the flies and when they're buzzing around, it really made you feel like they were buzzing around your head. And I just thought that was super cool. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I had that moment like you did, Wes, where I solidified in my mind that I'm not going back into the game until I play it in PlayStation VR 2 because I think it'd be a shame to.
Eric, I'm kind of glad that I get a redo on this game because I felt like I kind of, since I was on stream, I kind of progressed myself through the first area a little more quickly than I would have liked because there's you move through the village before you even get into the castle, and the first part of it goes very slow, but after you interact with that old lady, shit kind of hits the fan, and you got to move quick or you're gonna die. Um, there were areas I felt like I could have went that I didn't go because I talked to that lady too soon. Now I get to go back in with that knowledge and really take in that village in its entirety and in unprecedented detail. Really looking forward to getting back in there.
Hell yeah. I'm the same with you guys. I'm not going back in. I love Prey Dog. I love Prey Dog more than Luke Ross. I think his work is better. But I'm not going back in because I want to play it with the whole package. And this seems like it's going to be the best way to play it. And I really can't wait to do it. And you're right. Um Shit gets crazy in that game real damn quick. I mean, this is not if you haven't played this game yet, this is not Resident Evil 7. This is a way faster paced, more action of a game. It's maybe not as scary as Resident Evil 7, but I think the action is more intense in this game. And man, thank God we have capture cards because I can just see we're going to be streaming the shit out of all these games. So
We're gonna have to get a 4K capture card. We don't know what the output's going to be like. Now it's possible that PS5 does what PS4 did, and it makes the visuals a bit downgraded on the social screen. So like PSVR 1 was a 1080p signal, but the output was always 720p. It could be that we get the 4K in the headset this time in a 1080p uh, output for like social screen output. In that case, I'm good to go. I've got a nice capture card for that. But if this thing puts out 4K, I'll either have to stream it directly or have to get a capture
that's it.
card. Roots, one of the things I really like about Village, and this is kind of the case with a lot of the Resident Evil games, it's just the diversity in environments. Like you start off in that village, you make your way into this kind of grand castle, but I mean, it isn't very long before you find yourself in like this tunnel system underground, being chased down by monsters, and then there's that scene that you're walking through the cellars, and you're like you've got water like for where it's been flooded and it's very dark. This was all extremely impactful through the PCVR mod. Going to be even more so, I feel like, on PSVR 2.
Oh yeah, especially in the dark with the OLED, and then the audio, man. Like horror games with the spatial audio at the Tempest audio, I think it's going to be phenomenal. Who knows what sounds we're going to hear? I'm getting psyched about it. I need to stop getting so psyched because we're like 6 months away, maybe. I mean, we don't even know exactly when this thing's coming. So
Typically, Eric, I'm not the type of person that uses aim assist in these games. I turn it off. I like my sights to be true. I don't want it nerfed. But if this game uses eye tracking based aim assist, I mean, we're going to have to play with it for a little while, right?
Oh, you're gonna have to try it. I want to try everything. So yeah, I'll put everything on and see what I like best. You never know. It might be different than what you expect. You know what I mean? So I mean, I'm okay with aim assist. Give me it. I'll give it a try for sure.
Some people were even saying that they felt like maybe the Horizon game was using it automatically, like that it's not optional because people who typically suck at archery games were somehow nailing every shot in the Horizon game. Maybe that's something they just did for these content creators, but it's certainly an interesting tidbit to make note of.
it would make sense because I mean, that's frustrating for a lot of people to come in, especially if they're new and they're missing stuff. Hopefully, they'll give you the option to turn it off for someone that doesn't want to have it on there, if that is the case. But I think it would make sense to do that. That way, people would have a better experience overall.
Yeah. I think it's important to
State-
say that you got to remember this is all B-roll too. So whatever you're seeing, all the gameplay, like when you're seeing Mike, it's him, somebody recording Mike, but his actual gameplay and the headset gameplay, it's all B-roll. They did not allow the anybody to capture their own content inside the headset, so it's not even really them that you're seeing.
Except for right there on that TV for in that one angle for 3 seconds, you could see some gameplay of Mike's.
Yeah, I mean you could see it like in the TV behind him, but like when you're seeing these shots, like that are full shots,
Yep.
That's just all B-roll.
Well, people in the chat were talking about how you can how that chick, how tall she looks. The scale is better, right, than the prey dog as well. That even that, well, I guess it's what the vendor or whatever, he's like really big, they said. So
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see how some of the longtime Resident Evil fans react to some of these characters in this game because it's a bit comic booky. It's probably the reason why I still prefer 7 to 8 because 8 seems a bit more surreal while 7 seems a bit more realistic.
well, with the exception of Jack coming back from the dead a million times on fire, and you know what I mean? Or she cuts off your hand and then somehow it's sewed back on. I don't know that anybody
not
can
what I
do
mean.
that.
That's not what I mean. I'm talking about dealing with people like Jack versus dealing with people like this little 2 foot tall doll creature that looks like a porcelain doll, evil porcelain doll. Yeah, there's some weirdness after you get in that castle, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you like weirdness. I'm surprised that you're not all into this.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't finished the game yet. Maybe they'll win me over with it by the end.
Yeah.
Space Innocent says, I've played Resident Evil 7 3 times. I'm torn on getting to play it again with the mod. Well, let me tell you,
Play it.
more detail, clarity from edge to edge, like no Vaseline at all, no aliasing, no shimmer at all. You got both your hands, you aim down the sights, you defend by throwing your hands up,
Mm.
you heal yourself by grabbing the bottle of medicine and pouring it on your arm manually. It's the best way to play that game. And if you like it at all on PlayStation VR and you have the means to play it on PC, you very much should. I mean, it's cheap, man. It goes on sale all the time.
It could be meaning that because Resident Evil 8 came out, that they may eventually put out a 7 port, a better version, right?
That's why Brian won't play it. I've tried to talk him into it a couple of times, but he's holding out just in case the Capcom brings like 2, 3, and 7. He's waiting on all of it just in case.
Hmm.
So maybe, you know.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's talk a little bit about Galaxy's Edge. Probably the biggest downside from yesterday's state of play, because unlike Demio, there wasn't much in the blog post about what the specific enhancements were going to be. It just said that it would be enhanced. We found out today that the enhancements were significant. Not only is it going to be a much better looking game graphically, which by the way, it looks great on Quest. It's a good looking game. But notably, Roots, the weapon handling in Galaxy's Edge is notably different. You use a ton of different weapons in this game, and apparently, due to the haptics and adaptive triggers, they all feel different.
Right. That's huge. That was one of the things that I raved about Call of Duty on the PlayStation 5. Each gun feeling different. That's a big difference. And that was one of the reasons why I wasn't that thrilled, because when in the past, I've heard enhanced edition, and they just made the graphics a little bit better, maybe a little bit sharper. But it seems like that, they obviously they didn't. I mean, it's going to look amazing because the draw distance, everything that the Quest couldn't deliver, Sony will be able to. It's just going to be a better version, and it just sounds like they've over all the way around made it a better game. So,
Eric, the guy from GameSpot, when he was talking about how great the graphics look in PSVR 2, the first game he mentioned was Horizon Call of the Mountain. The second game he mentioned was Star Wars Tales of the Galaxy's Edge. That surprised me a bit. What did you think about that?
Yeah, me too. I mean, I love that game. It's a really, really good game. But it was definitely a Quest game. You know what I mean? It was and the graphics were good, but it was Quest good. To see this game now and get the whole package, and there was different character. It wasn't again, as I said before, I could tell this isn't just a graphic enhancement. You're getting different characters. You might get some different story, because there was characters that I saw in there that I had not seen in the first story, and I played through the whole thing. There were different types of, again, with the haptics and feeling with the triggers, and you could even just tell. I mean, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, wow, this looks a lot better. And that's on a flat screen. I'm sure in the headset it looks 10 times better than you've seen on a flat screen. So I'm excited for this game. I was a little disappointed with the whole thing yesterday, but I'm not disappointed with this game because I'm really looking forward to playing this game on the PlayStation and seeing how much better it is than the Quest version. Because that's one of the things that I wanted. I wanted this game to be a PC game, to go play it on PC, and now I get to play it at a higher fidelity.
Nick the Game Cat How asks, can you play Galaxy's Edge Quest 2 connected to the PC and get better graphics? No, there is no PC version of this game, which is why it was kind of a surprise to me that this thing got announced yesterday, because we haven't had an upgraded version on PC yet. Roots, I would say now that this is a pretty good sign that this game eventually will come to PC.
yeah, that's what we were saying on Master's show yesterday, is that it's got to. I mean, the Star Wars fan base doesn't stop at Quest users and Sony users, right? They're going to want to hit everybody, PC users as well. And that one thing I was thinking about, Eric, because you were talking about one thing Ian said in his video is that he said when the Quest 2 released, it released in 2 parts, which implied to me that this is both parts in one. And that may be why, because I think you remember you saying you didn't play the second one, why you may have seen characters that you didn't recognize. I don't think that they're probably adding anything to this, but we could be wrong. I don't know.
That would be if they were selling that whole thing as one game. That's a big difference too, because that they charged a lot for that second part of the game on the Quest 2, and I did buy it. I just didn't play it yet. I still have it sitting in my library.
That's how,
That's
they did the Vader series when it went over they did it all in one. So I would think that's a good bet for it.
Yeah, it's very possible.
That's a good point. It's the same developer, the same publisher, bringing what was once an Oculus exclusive over to PlayStation, and they released all 3 Vader Immortals as one. And I would expect that that's probably what's happening here.
And it was just his wording. It's just the way he worded it made me think that was the way that it is.
Yeah, and while it is still a Quest port and it is going to still be linear story-driven experience, I do expect it's going to be much richer on the new hardware. And while it might not be that grand Star Wars adventure game that we've been pining away for so many years, I think it's going to be a lot closer than anything we've had up until this point.
Well, and this is the thing too, and people forget, or maybe they don't. It was really good as far as I felt like it was a real legit comic, like I was in a cartoon episode of Star Wars or something. The acting of that one main bartender guy, it was good. It lacked in a lot of Quest ways. So I think this is going to complete it and make it the game it should have been to begin with.
Agreed. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
I was just gonna say, is there any chance? Do you guys think there's any chance that before the PlayStation 2 VR launches, do you have any chance we see this enhanced version on another platform?
That's a good question.
It be a standalone headset or a PC VR headset.
It's possible. I wouldn't expect it, but it's certainly possible. Sure.
It could be a launch title.
It'll probably be a launch title. It's probably a big banger. It's a big banger for Sony, right? For this to come out. It's Star Wars. And it's going to get a lot of people's attention right off the bat. I think that's why that guy probably was raving about it. He's probably a huge Star Wars fan, even though it is really good too. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I consider myself a huge Star Wars fan, but I'm like Eric. I never played the DLC. I bought it and didn't play it. So maybe we do that. Maybe we do that before PSVR 2 gets here. Kind of let the PlayStation audience see what they've got in store for them.
I think we should, because Hussein X says, I heard the DLC was really, really good.
Yeah, someone said that last time we talked about this game, that the DLC was actually the game. Like what we played was just kind of the warm-up prelude.
Man, what are we doing, man? We're missing it.
Blowing it.
We're blowing it, guys.
We cover it for next week.
Yeah, it's gonna do.
I like it. I like it a lot. I actually thought about doing it for tonight, but I mean, from yesterday, I would want to play through the whole thing, and that's a pretty tall order from yesterday to today, on top of the Cyberpunk, which we are already doing. So next week works a lot better for that.
Yeah.
Last but not least, we learned more about The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution, which I say we learned a lot more. We didn't learn a ton more about this game. They've been pretty generous with the information about it. We got a lot of the same footage that we got before when they had the last media event. But they just kind of, I guess we got a little bit of an extended look at it. And I guess they kind of drove home the way this game feels when using DualSense. So the actual piece of game that they played, not much different than the piece of the game that you played, Eric, but apparently a bit of a different experience with the high contrast visuals and the DualSense haptics and triggers, which I think in a physics-based game such as this is going to make a huge difference.
I just think the OLED alone is going to make a huge difference. This game is set in the dark. You have nighttime missions now where you did not before. Remember, you used to have to be in when the bells toll in the last game, and this game is not that way. You are going to be outside at nighttime, and the blacks are going to be super black. I mean, you are going to hear them way before you see them. The
Ooh,
flashlight is going to be a big deal. This is going to add a sense of tension and immersion that we have not seen yet. That's going to be a big deal. And we haven't had that yet. So I'm so excited for this.
scared already.
Just think, just think, Roots. All these people who have only played Quest for the first time are going to get to experience flashlights in VR.
That's what's crazy, man. I'm so looking forward. That was one of the things I took away again after um, we went into Rush of Blood, and I just realized how I want to see what they saw in the dark in especially in this game for sure.
Apparently, this game is going to be a pretty big expansion over the first. A lot more side quests in this one versus the first, so you don't have to run through the story quite as fast. Although there was quite a lot to do in the first one, but being able to go out at night, being able to interact with a lot more survivors and take on side quests is going to be it's going to make this a game that I never finish. Just like the first one took me forever to finish that one. I'll probably never finish this one. We saw a new shotgun routes. We saw a new submachine gun. But I think the thing that got me most excited once again, that fucking chainsaw, man. Because when I think about adaptive triggers when you're holding a chainsaw, when I think about advanced haptics when you're holding a chainsaw, you start this thing, you're going to feel it rumbling in your hands. When you start cutting, it's going to feel different. When you hit bone, it's going to feel
Mm.
different again. That's another level right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that got me excited as well. And I was thinking the same thing, that what's it going to feel like with those haptics, right? Because if you haven't used the DualSense controllers, you have no idea how crazy that they can make things feel in there. I still think it's some kind of voodoo magic in there. But yeah, that was my takeaway. And then also just the guns, being able to feel different types of weapons and stuff. There's a lot of different guns in this game as well, right? So.
Yeah, and then there's the melee, Eric. Like the first game still is kind of in a class of its own through their near perfect implementation of Gen 2 VR physics. The weapons already in that game have distinct feels to them because of the weight, because of how they handle. Uh, Add on top of that all of these haptics and the adaptive triggers. I mean, I think Eurogamer said that this is probably the most um, realistic feeling game that he played today, and I believe it.
Yeah, and it's gonna make me want to go back and play if they do it. I want to go. I want to play the first game now with this. Right? I want Saints and Sinners the original because I want to go back and do it that way too. I want to feel it. I want to play it with all that other stuff, with the better headset, with the OLED, with the new haptics. So
Yeah.
I mean, I can see people wanting to do that as well. And this is a perfect one where you want to do a remaster or whatever, and make the give us the whole package. Make it a package. You can buy it in a package or something. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait. I mean, there are so many things that have me hyped for this game, and now we have decisions to make. What system do you buy this for? You buying this on PC? You buying this on Steam? You buying it on PlayStation?
Yes.
Yes. You buying it on Quest 2?
Yes. Well, maybe. Well, maybe. I mean, I'm hopeful that our friends at Skydance will reach out to us again, like they did the first time the game launched, when we literally had no following, and we knew no one at the company. Yet somehow they sought us out and gave us access. It was amazing. Now we have friends there, right?
Mhm.
Multiple friends there, and I'm just hopeful that we won't have to wait till launch day to play this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're lucky. We get to, we will probably most likely be able to get a chance to play all three because that's kind of what we do and part of our jobs. But what about those people that don't? You know what I mean? And if you have a PlayStation and you do have a PC and you do have a Quest, I think you're buying the PlayStation version, right? I can't see why you would, if you had to choose, right? You weren't going to buy all three,
Well, I'll tell you why. Because you have to wait. Because it's going to hit PC and Quest first,
right?
and then it's going to hit PlayStation VR and PSVR 2 next year.
But
So
do you hold out?
no,
We
I
we
can't. I
can't.
can't.
We can't, because but it could look at somebody like D. Is D gonna go buy the Quest 2? And oh, that's a bad example. She won't play.
She hasn't played the first one yet. It's still sitting in her library.
Who's like D, but actually has the guts to play this game.
The guts. Oh, D.
Like D,
Let me ask you this:
that has a Quest 2, but is going to get a PlayStation VR 2. What do you do? Do you wait, or do you go buy it for the Quest 2?
That's tough, man. That's tough. If you can only buy one, obviously the better version's coming out next year. I guess a lot of that depends on what else there is to play. What other kind of new games are coming? Like if there's nothing coming out but cooking simulators and Beat Saber DLC, it's going to be hard not to buy this thing when it drops.
Agreed.
But if you got, if Vertigo 2 comes out and some of these other games that we've been waiting on, Retribution comes out next week. Retribution. Shit, I've got Retribution on the brain now.
I got excited. I was like, damn, dude, I can't wait if it's next week.
What is it? What's it called from the Hinge developers?
D says, excuse me.
Let me ask you this.
You know what I mean, D.
I would wait.
Let me ask you this, Eric. Let's assume that we do get an enhanced version of the original game, which, by the way, stands today as the best all-around game in VR. Still,
agreed.
What if we get an enhanced version on PSVR 2, like you mentioned a moment ago, but both that game and the sequel drop at launch? Which one do you play first? You're going to play through the first one again before you get into the second one? Apparently, by then, we will have already played through the second one, or at least a significant portion of it. You're going to do the whole thing in order, or are you going to do them both at the same time?
I would do them. I would do them in order if I could. I mean, I don't know. I played through the first one already. I don't know. I'm gonna want to play it again that way, but I don't know if I would need to do it in order at that point.
Roots, we've already played the second one, right? We've played it on PC. We get remastered, enhanced versions on PSVR 2. Both games at the same time. How are you taking it in?
With the way you just worded it right there, I have to play it in order. I've already played it, the second one, right? So, like, what's the point of...
It's going to be a speed run, though, right?
Yeah, just fly through that first. But, because I've already played through the second one, or a good portion of it, there's no reason really to go straight into the second one if there was both of them. And I wanted to play through them both. I might as well do it in order, right?
Yeah, I'm shooting maybe in one in the head as soon as I see her. Getting that key and getting the fuck out of here.
I thought of you when I watched Eurogamer's video, because he shot that priest right in the... Or threw a knife at him right away.
Threw a knife at him,
and the devs, they were like, oh. Because that would have been you. Wes would have killed him. He probably would have done it even crazier than throwing a knife at him. Like shoved it in his head or something.
Put it off, carry it around with it in a bag.
Yeah. Oh, God. That would be, the whole time. Talk about, you take off your headset and the whole time that you're talking to these people, it's really uncomfortable.
We got to do another Evil Weasel versus Saint Roots.
I
head
think
to
so.
head like we did for the first one.
I agree. I think that would be super fun.
And then Eric, you can be like chaotic neutral or something.
I'll go back and forth like I don't know what I'm doing. I'll kill somebody, then I'll do something nice for somebody.
So Roots, what do you think the over under is on how many of the tutorial guys I kill before I actually start playing the game?
I don't know, man. I'll tell you what. I mean, depends on what. I'd say probably over 20. I mean, I can't say you
for sure
easily.
For sure over 20.
Because you got to kill him in several different ways.
It's still not old, man.
Game. He's like a boss you got to beat.
Yes.
Comes back your ass.
Well, I mean, it is Retribution, right? Maybe that's what they're talking about.
That would be cool. If you kill him so many times, he like somehow pops up at the end of the game and like tries to kill you.
Daniel Jones says he hopes that they bring back PSVR Worlds, but remaster it all for PSVR 2. That'd be cool. I don't think it'll ever happen, but that would be awesome. Imagine playing Scavenger's Odyssey, but the ion cannon that you're firing is eye tracked. Come on, man. That'd be great.
Didn't they have a luge one? Man. Wasn't there like a luge one that was kind of cool?
Yeah, there was a street luge.
Yes.
Apparently, I'm the only person in the world that actually thought that was good, though.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Depends on when you played it. If you played it now, you might not be so cool. Playing it in 2016, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a good point. All this talk about PSVR is just basically reminded me that I've got a lot of streaming to do before next year gets here because I want to show people PSVR worlds. I want to show them. Well, I guess I already did Rush of Blood. I want to show them Golem. Come on,
Yeah.
man. They need to redo Golem on PSVR too. That game is beautiful, and the controls are shit on PSVR. Um, so having Golem with proper controllers, I mean, that might be a game of the year.
I've still never played it, and
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
never
it's
even.
awesome, dude. It's
So
really good.
I don't have the controller to play it. You need that. What's this controller you need? You need something special.
It's called the Move Navigation Controller. Here's the thing, not compatible with PS5, so you
Mm.
can't use that on the
You gotta use
PS5.
your PS4.
What you have to do if you don't want to use the shitty lean forward to walk mechanic that they built into the game by default, you have to play with one move controller in your right hand and the dual
Oh,
sense control dual shock in the other hand. So you're
Mm.
using the
oh.
thumbstick with one hand and you're sword fighting with the other.
Gamer
Yeah.
Tag's getting to putting a team together for somebody against for a Firewall.
Yeah,
I'm
we
down, bro. I love Firewall.
Firewall's so good, dude.
Yeah, we did it. It was probably what, about a month ago, 6 weeks we played Firewall.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was great. We had a ball, man. We had such a good time.
That
I
was
mean,
good.
I'm not a pro. I mean, if you're going to take on that guy, you might want to get somebody who's a level 50. I would suggest hitting up Hack, hitting up Delirium, hitting up Roy Schwartz.
Phil Yarn or your Roy Shorts. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, there's your squad. But I'd be down to play, man. I love playing it. I'm like a level 23 or 24.
Why didn't they show Firewall Ultra yet? Show a trailer for a different trailer for Firewall Ultra or something yesterday? Or
Imagine,
why didn't you
ima-
hold that trailer for the freaking PlayStation showcase?
imagine if that had been part of the state of play instead of dropping
Yeah,
randomly last week.
okay,
We'd be
don't
singing a
make
whole different tune, right?
exactly make it 3 games, okay? Show the first 2 and then end with a freaking killer Firewall Ultra that we haven't seen yet. That would have changed the whole entire feel of the state of play. We would be singing the state of play's praises right now.
Right.
And
It
again,
would
it's not games, it's the pacing.
it would have gotten the Flag Gamers' attention for sure. And Dark Angel says, "Cheers, gents, throwing a 650 out there. We appreciate you, Dark. I saw you coming in at the most weirdest time as Mash was talking about a very dark scene in the thing. I don't know if you saw her
Thank you,
comment. It
Dark
was
Angel.
funny.
Thank you for catching that, Roots. I went right over my head. Thank you, Dark Angel, as always, for your ongoing support.
She rocks.
Yes.
Tom Flesh Eater Gaming says we will be doing 1v1 on Alva once privates go live, possible tournaments. For sure. And just for those of you who are fans of Alvo who've been waiting for them to get their shit together, today they officially have their shit together, and PSVR and Quest crossplay is live. You can now play with your friends no matter what system they're playing on.
Next
Nice.
step, PCVRville. We need it on a PCVR, please, because I want the community maps. Is really what I want in that game.
Yeah, I want some PCVR style graphics going on in that thing. Not that
Yeah.
it looks bad on PlayStation VR, but I want clarity edge to edge.
Yes.
And I know they can do it.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, we've done 100 minutes now on PSVR 2. Why don't we talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we've
All right, everybody.
played this
Yeah.
week? By the way, if there's something that we missed that you want our opinion on, you can leave a comment down below. You can hit us up on Discord. I can talk about this shit all day. I literally have talked about this shit all day today, and I'm glad to keep going. But in the interest of time, we're going to move on. What is it? Cyberpunk next, Roots?
Actually, I had Rush of Blood just because we're going from PSVR to PSVR.
Well, let's do it. We've already mentioned it quite a few times, and there's a reason why. It's because this is one of the best games in VR, even today. And when you talk about console quality VR, when you talk about the cream of the crop, it's hard not to talk about Rush of Blood. I mean, this game is the best roller coaster game I've played in VR. This is the best rail shooter that I've played in VR. It's just so good, and it's an evergreen, Eric. Like, this is the thing that really blows me away about this. Not only is it as fun now as it ever was, but I'm still beating my high score. I picked this thing up
You
without
did.
touching it for 3 or 4 months, play a level one time, and I have an all new high score,
You
which,
really?
by the way, is already on top of everyone on my friends list. So get to work, people.
You're not the
Um,
only one who could pick up a game after not playing it for 6 months and then beat one of your old scores. I mean, it takes me
if
like
it's this
2
game,
weeks. But
it's like
the
I feel
game's
like
game's no good. It's a rail shooter. Rail shooters are no good, Wes. You can't there's no such thing as a good rail shooter.
Yep.
that's true.
The unique ones.
Roots, best rail shooter in VR, best roller coaster in VR, also the best haunted house in VR. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the things I took away today, man. Just the sounds alone as I was going through the beginning area, it was like creepy as hell, right? And it's definitely something that I think everybody should experience, especially if you have a fear of clowns. You really need to get in this game. I
Okay.
think that I was struck at how good this was, even today. After so long, I didn't want to stop. Legitimately, I really didn't want to stop because I love roller coasters, and this thing is the pace of it is just so cool.
I think that's part of the attraction, isn't it, guys? Because both of you are like me. You have an affinity for carnivals and amusement parks and roller coasters. And then on top of that, you put all of this like evil clown scenery. Um, I mean, I feel like, as fun as the gameplay is, the environments in this game are just as strong.
Yeah, absolutely creepy, especially when you're going through that pig level and the slaughterhouse. Like that is something that for the average person is going to shock people. They're going to be like, "Oh my god, what in the?" Because even myself, I was like, "What is fucking happening here?" Oh, PD says, you know who else loves 100 minutes or does 100 minutes?
My mom!
She does. Always after midnight, too, just like us.
That's right.
She's bad. She's bad.
Eric, I was watching Kind of Funny Games earlier today, and they were talking about PSVR 2. But before they got started on it, a viewer put forth the question, um, before we move on to the next generation, will each of you tell us what your favorite implementation of the Move controllers
I saw that question.
has been?
Yeah, me too.
And they named off a couple of PS3 shit experience tech demos. Somebody mentioned Beat Saber a couple of times. And the whole time I'm thinking, have none of these fucking people ever played Rush of Blood? Because sure, I'm the first one to tell you that the Move controllers are extremely limited, but this game was designed around those controllers and it is fucking perfect. The tracking is perfect. The guns feel great. I feel like a badass when I play this, in spite of the Move controllers.
This is this is I don't know. I don't know how this always gets voted out of the top 15 of games, on PlayStation VR. It happens all the
Didn't
time.
this time. Didn't
Yeah,
this
thank God
time.
you're there because the last couple times it got knocked out. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? You're putting in Beat Saber and you're leaving this game out. But I mean, yeah, I mean this game is great and the move controllers work so well. It just makes sense with this game. You just point at exactly where you're going to go. It feels like you're holding the gun. You know you're holding the move controller, but your brain switches off. You don't feel like you're holding the move controller anymore because it just feels perfect. Everything lines up exactly right to where your hands should be. It just works. Everything's in front of you. When you have a rail shooter like this, you don't have to worry about a camera. It's not a big deal. You don't have to worry about spinning around. You're in a cart and you put your hands out in front of you and it catches exactly where you should be. You don't have to worry about the gun being on a odd angle. You never get that in any of this. You always feel like you're aiming exactly where you have the move controller and it just feels right. I don't know. The only thing it could be better is maybe if they made it with the aim controller.
That's true. That's true. Um, Roots, the way they did the aiming in this was kind of ingenious because typically with move controllers, you'll get a little bit of drift. It's natural. Uh, but while it feels like you're aiming down sights with these guns, you're not. What you're actually aiming with are the flashlights that are attached to it.
Mhm.
And you actually never look at down the sights at all. So even if it does drift a little bit, you don't notice it because the bullets always go where the flashlights go. And I feel like it feels a little bit less like cheating than say if they had put like laser scopes or something on there. I really love how they did the flashlight sights on this because it's a dual use, right? Not only are you aiming with it, but these environments get fucking dark, man, and you like having those flashlights on there.
Absolutely. And I was thinking the same thing. It's funny you said that because I literally thought that today when I was playing, that I was looking at the flashlights and thinking the same thought. And after the fall as well, even though it's not the drifting thing, but it's just a great way to know exactly where you're shooting. And I love the flashlights in there, and that's why I was wanting to have this in PSVR too. Like this world is so beautiful. Like as I'm going through these different areas, and we're going outside in the trees, and I'm
Yeah.
limited by the old hardware, right? And so I'm like, man, I just kept thinking if I was playing on the PSVR 2, how amazing this would look. And then I was debating myself, would I want a proper sequel, or would I want a remaster? And then I decided both, please, Sony.
I think this is one of those games that I actually wouldn't be, I would be a little bit more jazzed for just getting a straight backwards compatibility patch for this so that you can just play it in the new headset. Like the game as it is, because it's so beautiful. Some of the best looking outdoor environments I've ever seen in any game. You really feel like you're outside. And a lot of that is graphics, but it's also the sound, like we also mentioned. You feel like you're outside on a roller coaster when you're riding this thing. And you do see Mira.
Mm.
Like it didn't used to bother me as much as I do now. Playing on G2 every day. Now you notice it a lot more. Um, but to be able to just play this game as it is with a little bit more field of view, much more crisp visuals because of the OLED screens, the new high resolution OLED screens. Yeah, I would love a remake. I would really love a sequel. I'm not so sure we will ever get either of those
Mm.
because I don't think Supermassive's ever going to come back to VR, not anytime soon.
Mhm.
Um,
We know they're not
but
fixing it.
yeah, well, yeah, they haven't even fixed this. That's right.
If Sony pays them enough, they would. So did you either of you have any problems with having to recalibrate a lot? 'Cause Nick the Game Cat says you have to recalibrate a lot with that. I didn't notice that at all. But I mean, obviously in a lot of games you do eventually recalibrate in PlayStation VR, but I think it's all camera, right? That's what Wes
Yeah,
would
you
say.
you can easily recalibrate. All you gotta do is stick your arms out in front of you and hold the button in on the right side of the controller. But no, I rarely ever have to do that. Much like is the case
Mm.
with many PlayStation VR games, it all comes down to your setup. You got to have your camera in the right place. You got to have not so many reflective surfaces in your room. Helps to turn the lights off and have your lights properly calibrated in the system. I didn't have to recalibrate one time playing it today.
Yeah, me neither. But I guess it depends on also how much if you're looking at the inverse kinematics of the arms, like if, like Nick was saying, his arms were like off a little bit, and so like that would bother some people more than others, right? So if it was a little
Oh,
bit
sure.
off, I wouldn't even notice it probably. So
Well, the way I play, I kind of keep my arms on armrests anyway. I don't move them around a whole
mm,
lot. I just kind of move my forearm and wrist to aim. And yeah, I didn't have to recalibrate once. Now I did have the problem, the PS5 problem, where it randomly puts you into the pause menu. But after that happens once, you get used to it, and all you have to do is start nailing the O button as soon as it happens, and it goes away just as fast as it came up.
I
So
had it
not
a
a big
lot this
problem.
time though. I think it's random how often you have it. Like I remember I played it, I don't know, a few months ago, and I didn't have it that much. Like it was only like a few, like maybe during a whole playthrough, maybe like 2 or 3 times. And I think I had it this time like 5, 6 times. I only played for like maybe an hour.
Yeah.
So
it's
a
Well,
crazy.
lot.
yeah, and I
It's
bet in that hour you probably played through half of the game or more, right?
I love this game, man. I could have played for more. If I had more time and I wasn't setting up this behemoth of a monitor, I would have definitely played more. It was, and we're going to talk about a couple other another game too. But I had a lot of fun in this game. I would have rather went back to this game than the other one.
Yeah, and this is not a long game, and this is a great example of how a game doesn't have to be super long to still be great. I mean, again, this is a top five PSVR game to me, and you could probably run through it in 2 hours, two and a half, something like that. And the thing about it is when you finish it, you're just fine starting right over and playing it all over again because it never loses that fun factor. It never loses that immersiveness. It never loses that vibe. It's just as cool now as it was. Well, maybe not as cool as it was in 2016, but it's fucking cool, man. And I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
No, it's super replayable because you got, like you said, you were talking about the leaderboards. I mean, you're already trying to beat your scores from the last time you played, and you're looking at other people on the leaderboard. Then you can go back and keep doing it. There's always little things you can hit to give you a better score here that maybe you didn't see the last time. So yeah, this game's super cool.
And you know what else, Roots, really makes this game super replayable
Hmm.
is that the path is varied. There are multiple points in every level where you can switch the track and go through whole other sections of the level that you didn't even see the first time you played through it. So I mean, you probably got enough variability here to play through the game 3 times and see different stuff every time.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's definitely gives it replayability. Now, if they did a sequel, how cool would it be if you could take a friend on the roller coaster with you?
Oh
And
yeah,
you had all sorts
Dude.
of crazy shit going on, right? That'd be crazy.
hell
I
yeah.
mean, it's no Ghost Town Mine Ride, but it's pretty good.
Ghost Town Mine Ride. I tried that run thinking it was going to be like this, and it was weird. I'll give it that. I mean, I actually
It was
got out of the
okay.
cart. That shocked me. It's like, this is not a ride. I'm walking around. What the fuck?
Coaster
no
Combat.
developer, I was gonna say, I was Coaster Comment's the closest, but how has no other developer really come up with another one like this?
I don't
How
know.
how has nobody come up with a proper, really good roller coaster yet? I mean, No Limits is pretty good for what it is, and there's been various other roller coaster experiences from small independent developers, but no one's done a roller coaster like this yet, where parts of the track are fucking broken off. You
Mhm.
really feel like you're outside on a roller coaster. Nobody else has done it yet.
You know what I was thinking when I was doing this? And Eric, you'd probably appreciate this, is I was going through and I was thinking, man, like if it, again, looking at from a PlayStation VR 2, like these environments, it almost feels like you're on a ride at Disney World, right? And again, I go back to this virtual Disney that I
Mhm.
want to happen. Like you could imagine being in the Haunted Mansion, but it's like way better with all the haptics and all sorts of shit going on, and it's souped up. It's crazy. It's always changing. Who knows what? I just think that that's gonna happen. I just feel it.
They're big in China. China has it's like an indoor facility, but they call it a virtual amusement park. And that's what you are. You're going into these indoor facilities and you get into these rides that have headsets and you're riding like the best freaking coasters because you're not limited by laws or by like safety, right? You can just make whatever the hell you want to make and they're amazing. So I can see eventually we'll see some of those.
Yeah.
Brad, I think it was Brad shared a story on Twitter the other day. Disney talking about what their metaverse is going to be like. They're
Hmm.
going to digitally recreate all their rides.
Yeah. Well, see, and this is the thing. How crazy would it be? Okay. And this is like a fucked future. You go into your virtual Disney and then you go stand in line for an hour to get in the line. Like, I don't want to stand in lines, man. No lines, Disney. I have to wait in the line. I'm out.
Virtual line.
Virtual line. Yeah. I could play some World of Warcraft while I'm waiting in line.
Steam
So,
VR Game of the Year, Virtual Line,
virtual
Line
line.
Simulator.
The line simulator. That's good. I think.
I'd rather play that than Marineverse.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that you could do in the line simulator. You could punch
You
the
can
guy in front of you.
stare at people's butts.
Yeah, you can stare at people's
Look at
butts.
your phone.
Smells people's BO.
Yeah, that's the best part. Like, and it's funny too, as you're going, you go up and down, you like, oh, we're coming by that guy again. Yeah, everybody hold your nose.
I
Please
just
don't,
met
please
that
God, don't let me stop next to him. Oh,
Anyway, I think we've pretty thoroughly tossed this one over. If you haven't played Rush of Blood, what the fuck is wrong with you? This is one of the reasons why you own PSVR in 2022. Still among the very best that VR has to offer. I cannot recommend it more. It's a game that I continually go back to, and it's a game that I will continue to go back to. I will keep my PSVR to the end of time if PSVR 2 doesn't end up being able to play this game.
Yeah.
Just for this game.
Seriously.
I'll tell you what, I didn't unhook my stuff. I left it specifically hooked up because I want to go back into it later. So, well, probably not tonight because it's pretty late.
Nick says it's a great game to show newbies. This was probably my first thing I demoed. Maybe the underwater experience in PSVR Worlds. That and Rush of Blood was what I was demoing to everyone when I first got my VR.
Nick, this is a one that I've actually put family members in and not told them the name of it and just said, "Hey, check this out." Because it's so slow paced and they think it's like this cool like carnival thing, and then they're like, "Wait, was that a clown?" And then like the conversation that ensues down that road is very interesting.
Yeah, the first level is great because it seems like it's just a spooky carnival where you're shooting like glass ducks and stuff.
It's just very slow paced. It really reels you in so you don't know what's coming, and then all of a sudden it smacks you in the face with a bunch of weird shit. Super cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to this week's mod. We got our classic game out of the way. We're back to the format. We did another mod this week, Cyberpunk 2077, back to the Luke Ross well for the second week in a row. This one was interesting for me, Roots, because I think a lot of the strength and a lot of the draw to playing this game in VR is just because there is so much game here. This is a huge, very detailed and deep game.
Yeah, and the decisions make a difference. That's one of the things that I like. Like even just in the beginning, when because you're a nomad, right? And you get to decide. The guy asks you, "Do you have a clan?" I said no, and because I don't have a clan to back me up, that fucker targeted me, and they try a whole bunch of shit happen. And so that's this whole game. You're constantly shifting things as you're going along. And I like Jackie. He's my friend. I let him borrow my car, and we're besties now. That's cool. I'm really enjoying this game. I think it's got so much depth to it, and it took a while for them to fix the jank, but this is absolutely the best way to play it, hands down, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. The only way for me to play it in VR. Eric, very detailed character creation system in this game. I was actually able to make a character that looked quite a lot like me, right down to the genitals. What does your character look like?
You can have big junk in this game. I don't think I've ever seen a game where you
I
can.
didn't say that. I said it looked like me.
How crazy is it?
You didn't put the big genitals on it?
Are you walking around naked? What does it matter that that's even in the game? Isn't that weird? I thought that was weird.
You gotta have big junk, bro.
Oh, who doesn't want to have big junk?
Because they're not gonna want your virtual honeys aren't gonna want you if you got this.
Well, you know who loves big junk on their virtual honeys, right?
You know who else likes being smashed in the face with weird shit? That's from Paradise Decay, by the way.
Yes, both of those. But yeah, it's super deep. I mean, I don't usually spend a long time creating in these things because I'm like, I just want to get to the gameplay. So I usually kind of like either randomize it or I'll just pick a few things and then go. But yeah, I mean, I played this game flat PlayStation 5 because I think I picked it up for like $10.
$10, yeah.
It was on sale. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to play it. So I played it for a few hours, like maybe 3 hours or so on the PlayStation 5 a while ago. But I spent a ton of time, I remember, in there customizing because you can change everything in here. So it looks really cool and it makes your character look cool. And I love the first thing you do is when you come in, after you create your character, you see yourself in a mirror so you can see exactly what you just created. So like that's how you kind of like come into the game,
Yeah, we need Prey Dog to bring in that full VR immersion to this thing, man, because it's such a cool world to be a part of.
Yeah, this game is made for VR.
Yeah, absolutely. Roots, when I picked this game up, I expected it to be a lot like Grand Theft Auto 5, a shooter where you get to drive cars around and fulfill missions. But there's a lot more going on here than just the shooting. There's melee attacks. You're able to use your software to hack into enemies and different types of surveillance systems. Again, just a lot going on with the gameplay, a lot more than I even expected.
Yeah, the gameplay loop is super deep as well, right? A lot of things you can do. I did not know that you could do as well. And I feel like it's different, a little bit different than GTA 5 in that respect. Although you can do a lot of different things in GTA 5, but I don't think you can do in too much melee. Aside from, I guess maybe smacking somebody. So
Let's talk a little bit about the VR implementation here from the Loot Cross mod. Now, full disclosure, I use an older version of the mod. It very well and probably has been updated since the version of the mod that I used. So keep that in mind. But this wasn't the best Loot Cross mod that I've ever tried in terms of visuals. It wasn't the worst either. I think everything looked pretty good. Some things look really good,
mm,
but I had a problem. You know, minor problem, major problem. I guess it depends on who you ask. With some artifacts around certain geometry in the game, there certain
rain.
characters, certain like structures would kind of have this blurry halo around it. Did you guys get that too?
I did. I had to turn everything way down too. By the way, I don't know if you how you guys had to do it, but I had all kinds of issues in the beginning.
Really? Well, I'll tell you what, I tried to turn the ray tracing on, I tried to turn the DLSS on, and then realized I don't think it's optimized for this. So
FSR. Yeah, FSR is what you got to use.
oh, okay, you told me, you said that, right? That the FSR,
Yeah.
damn it, I didn't even think about that because that's technology typically for AMD. So I'm going to go back and try that. But one thing I will say, because I played through the beginning part of it, or I guess where I was at, because it didn't make me restart. And I thought, wow, it looks good, but doesn't look as good as I thought I remembered. I went and tweaked a bunch of settings, but I didn't go into the video and actually he's got certain presets. I think it starts at like 2700 by something, 2732 or something. But you can kick it up to 3000 by 3000 or whatever, which is what I did, and that made it look 1,000 times crisper and clearer, and it made it look amazing. So I would think that because up until that point, I thought the same thing. I'm like, man, this doesn't look as good, and it kind of made me think that, and I don't know, I have no way to check anymore. But I feel bad because a lot of people, maybe they got a 1080 or maybe even a 2080, and they're going to be looking at what I saw from the beginning before I cranked everything up, and that's what looked phenomenally crisp and clear. So
I
Yeah, I didn't
stopped
crank.
even getting bottlenecked. That's what my problem is. I think because I have a 3080 Ti just like you do, Roots, but I think my problem is I don't have I don't
your
have as
CPU.
CPU as you do, and I think this is the first time that the bottleneck has really given me a huge issue with the CPU.
What I would do is run your core temp or any program like that that's going to monitor your CPU when you're running the game, and that'll tell you if it's maxed out, your CPU is,
Yep.
but your GPU is not, then it clearly is.
I'll tell you a couple things to check, Eric. The first one I already mentioned, which was you want to use FSR. You want to enable it and turn it on ultra quality. Like there's a bunch of different presets. Go to the quality end of the spectrum. Something else you want to check out is whether or not you're running it in OpenVR or OpenXR. So when I played this game originally, I played this mod originally, I ran it through Steam VR using OpenVR, and I got after I turned FSR on, I got a solid 90 out of it, and it stayed there.
Wow.
Today, I booted the game up, and it told me, "Hey, you're using a G2. It's probably a good idea for you to use OpenXR and get rid of Steam VR altogether." And I took that advice because typically that has been what works the best for me. Normally, the best way to run these games on G2 is running it outside of Steam VR on OpenXR. Typically, the game runs like shit in Steam VR for me. Just the opposite in this game. Like when I moved over to OpenXR, it was steady, but it was steady at 60. It
Mm,
didn't bounce at all.
Mm.
Um, so I'm starting to think now, after I played the game, that maybe something got changed in the settings because you can lock the frame rate in the graphics settings.
mm,
I'm thinking maybe it got locked to 60 because it wasn't bouncing or moving at all. It was just solid 60 the whole time. So that was either because it just doesn't work as well in OpenXR, or again, maybe I had something wrong in my settings, which is something you might want to check as well. If your frame rate was locked low, it might just be because in the settings it was locked on
Yeah.
45 or 60 or something.
Yeah, very well could be, and I know what you're talking about too, because Steam VR sometimes can be a beast, and it just sucks. It's like so I don't know what it is, but it can really mess up your system. So I usually try and run everything in OpenXR. We were talking about this with After the Fall the other day when I was having an issue with my Steam version of After the Fall because I'm getting that crashing issue again, and I think it's because I've been running it, through Steam VR, and that was one of the things I was going to try later was trying to run it in OpenXR.
So you only tried this one in Steam VR?
I did.
What you need to try, Mash, is redoing your hard drive because you're having a lot of issues and crashes and weird things happen. It's enough to the point where I would have already wiped my hard drive weeks ago. Me personally, anyway.
The crashes is really it's just with After the Fall. I've got some issue with that game. I really don't have that crash without just with that
And
one.
you've moved it, right? On different
Oh yeah,
drives you've
I've
tried
tried
it.
it first. Yeah, I was like maybe that's because this drive is too full, or if there's a corruption there. I've tried everything, and I remember it was good for a long time too. Remember it fixed itself. They had an update, and it started working again, and it worked for a long time. And then all of a sudden now, it doesn't work. And then when I run the same game through Rift, it runs perfectly. So
I wonder if
And that's
it's that one program is seeing it as you know how that one program made certain programs seen as a threat?
yeah, this was before that though.
Oh, was it?
I think some kind of there's some type of corruption in that file for After the Fall for Steam that is just killing it.
interesting.
Yeah.
The funny thing that you mentioned the drives, I actually played the Cyberpunk, and as well as it ran, I always had stable frame rates, whether it was 60 or 90. It never really moved around. Um, I'm playing through USB drive. Now, granted, it is a NVMe Gen 4 drive that I'm plugging into my USB. But I've played a bunch of different games on it, mostly flat game mods, and they've all ran great, even through USB.
Wow.
That's cool.
But yeah, for you, Eric, what I would try to do so you don't get stuck playing on Quest 2 every time is try running the Rift version or try running even the Steam version, um, but running it through OpenXR so that it just runs natively in Oculus without Steam VR.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna have to try it because that's what it is. I mean, I love this game. I don't want to have to run it with my Quest 2 every time I have these great headsets I want to use them with, and that's what I was doing with Steam. But now I just don't know if I can do it. So that's a
Well, let
good
me
idea.
tell you, there's never been as great a time as today to figure all this shit out because we are about 9 hours away now from the update at the most.
I can't wait.
Anyway, I don't really have a whole lot more to say about Cyberpunk. It's an amazing game. Got a lukewarm reception from flat gamers, but I feel like has a whole new breadth of life, being able to be in the world. Roots a lot of freedom in this game to do what you want, progress the story as quickly or as slowly as you want. There's no lack of shit to do in Night City.
Yeah, that city's cool, man. Just roaming around it is cool in VR. Just driving. I really enjoy this game. I like Eric. I bought it because it was $10. I played a little bit and said I'm not playing this again, and then got into the actual world in VR and thought, oh wow, this is amazing. So definitely worth checking out. And I did use the new mod, the new version of it, Wes, and it ran. I don't know if it ran better, but it ran good. So
If you're Project CD Red and you want to recoup some money from this game, which did not do very well, it'd be smart to put it in VR, wouldn't it? For the PSVR 2 launch.
Yeah, but to be honest, VR numbers don't register on these guys' radar. Like this is a huge AAA studio. They're used to selling multiple tens of millions of copies. I mean, they could get a little money back out of it for sure, but how much resources would they have to put into it to
I
make
was
a
gonna say,
proper
if it's not a
VR
big
version?
lift though, which we don't know yet, it might not be that big of a lift if they're depending on how they set this up for doing these hybrid games. It makes sense because if it's not that big of a lift and they don't have to put a ton of money into it, they could do really well with it. You know what I mean? And you got to remember, Project CD Red, they're Polish developers. They're in with a lot of VR Polish developers. Um, one of the biggest parties we went to at PAX was Project CD Red. It's where I got this shirt. Thanks, guys. And there was probably about 5 Polish developers at that party, and they were part of their whole thing. So they're tight. So it could make sense.
Those guys know how to do VR too. Those
Hell yeah, they
Polish,
do.
it's in their blood. They,
Hell
they
yeah.
may not know what a light bulb is, but they can make VR games very well. Um, anyway, I mean, I think that's all we've got here for tonight, guys. We've gone for quite some time now, a little over 2 hours. Let me ask you, Eric, where does this rank amongst the other Luke Ross mods that you've tried?
I'm gonna say I didn't. I'll admit I did not put a ton of time into this. I've only got like a few hours into it, and that's for this type of game. It's not enough. You need more. So I'm gonna give it. You know, I'll put it up there, but I just not. It's not optimized for me. Maybe I don't know, third, fourth. I mean, there's Red Dead Redemption's still the best,
Oh
and
yeah.
and GTA 5 was really good too, and
You haven't done GTA 5 yet. That's got to be another one that's coming up soon on our list.
You're gonna
Although I
love
do,
that one, Wes. That's talk
the
about
drive.
action packed. The story is amazing.
Yeah.
yeah, I think I might get stuck in that one when we start playing it. That might be one that I get stuck in. Although this might be one that I get stuck in because while it's not as good as Red Dead, I do feel like it was better than Horizon Zero Dawn. It was leagues
Yes.
ahead of the Elden Ring mod. Um, so yeah, this is a game that I definitely don't want to put down. It's a game that the gameplay is so complex and deep that you don't want to put it down because like I've played it a few times, but I had to start over because I couldn't remember how to do all the stuff. There's a lot of stuff you can do, so I had to start over just so I could redo the tutorial. So it's not a game I want to put down. I want to keep playing it because it is that good. Although I mean, it's tough to do. I would put it right in the middle. I would say that as far as the VR implementation goes, Red Dead was better. I'd say Ghostwire
Yep.
Tokyo was better. Then this, and then under that Horizon, and then under that Elden Ring. That's where I would put it. Roots, you've played all of these. Where does it rank on your list?
Horizon was the worst for me,
That was
performance and everything. It just didn't, and I didn't care for the gameplay. I don't know why. I mean, I guess if you really people really like that, and I think Elden Ring would fit in there as far as that goes, going down the line as far as how good they are implemented. Although the Elden Ring mod is really good as well. It's just
I would have it higher. Those. I think I thought the Elden Ring was really good. I would have it above this.
yeah.
Well, didn't you guys have to play it in like flat 360 though? Or you guys are getting 3D now, right? Out of these Luke Ross
Yeah,
Yeah.
mods?
I've not even been touching the 3D anymore. I've just been leaving it on, and so yeah, it's. I think maybe the newer mods or the versions are making it a little bit better or something. But
Did he do Death Stranding? Somebody did Death Stranding, didn't they?
I want to play that. I hadn't heard of that. Is there?
I don't think so.
I know
Not
there's a way to
yet.
play it. It might be a reshade thing. There's a way to do it. I don't know if it's full VR or not,
Hmm.
but that's a game I'd love to get into. It seems like my kind of weird, that one.
Yeah.
I have it. I played like the first 45 minutes of it. It was really good. I just didn't have time to get back into it.
Oh shit, Guido! Thank you, thank you for mentioning that. I had forgotten all about that. Friends, we have got an After the Fall key to give away, and I was thinking maybe we would do it during your stream, Eric. But well, I mean, why don't we just give it away right now?
Yeah.
I will too because I get the awesome people at Vertigo have sent me some keys to give away during the stream. So yeah, let's give it to the virtual strangers community.
Awesome.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. Trivia time, ladies and gents. Let me lay forth the. And by the way, thank you, Guido, not only for reminding me, but for donating this key. This is all on Guido. Thank you, sir. Your support is amazing as always. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hell yeah.
This
Oh.
trivia time, I'm going to ask you guys a question. I'm sorry, Roots, what?
Oh, I just put the answer in there. Vertigo Games. Oh wait, that's not going to be it.
No, that's not going to be it. But we're going to make it a little bit more difficult this time. You guys are going to have to think a little bit about this.
Hmm.
So Vertigo Games, developer of After the Fall, developer of Arizona Sunshine, also a prominent publisher in
Mm.
VR. They've published games before. They are about to publish even more notable VR titles. First person on my chat to tell me one game that Vertigo Games has or will publish will win a copy of After the Fall for Steam.
Oh, I want to answer this right now. One of
There's
my
a real good one coming up that we didn't expect for Vertigo to be publishing, but
Mm.
I
they picked it
really,
up.
really, really want. I can't wait for it.
Corporate Zombie says Fear of Heights. I've never heard of that. Is it? Are you being serious?
Snowbreed. Or maybe that's just is that a game or is that just saying Fair Heights?
Mhm.
That sounds like a early PC VR game. Is what that sounds like. Let's see here. Google it up.
Fear of heights.
Fear of Heights. Face your nightmares in 360 VR. 360 Fear of Heights VR. Well, what is that? Oh, that's Richie's Plank.
They did
And
not
that.
like.
Yeah, I don't think this is a game.
He's talking about something
If it
else.
is,
Maybe.
I'll stand. If it is, I'll stand corrected, and we'll buy you another copy. Just send me proof of it, and we'll buy you a copy. Let's see what else do we have here. A Fisherman's Tale. I think they did publish a Fisherman's Tale, didn't they, Roots?
I think so. You still need to play that game.
Did they really? I didn't know that. Was it Vertigo
Yeah.
Games that published?
I'm pretty sure. Look, I'll verify it right now, but I'm pretty sure
That's a hell of an answer, Zaylen Maru, if that's the case.
that is correct. Developed by Interspace VR, published by Vertigo Games, January 22nd, 2019. Zayla Maru, you are the winner. Congratulations.
That's a hell of an
RZ
answer.
Attacks, part of the prerequisite was that not Arizona Sunshine. Not After the Fall, not Arizona Sunshine. Name one that they published. Zayla Maru answering with The Fisherman's Tale.
And the
Congratulations.
other caveat is you need to be available for Mash's stream 12 hours on Friday. No, I'm just kidding.
Are you ready, Zaylen Maru? 12 hours.
12
Let's go.
hours straight.
If you're playing this game for the first time, you're gonna want to play it for 12 hours straight.
That's true.
You're gonna need to just to get up on the level to play with everyone else, man. You got some leveling up to do, brother.
I'll tell you what, it took me 100 hours to even get any boredom out of it, and I'm starting to get revitalized from it, invigorated.
We need some Wolveraza. We need some. I haven't talked to him yet. We need some Wolveraza action. We haven't played with him in a while. And Wolveraza, we need you in
I
the
just
morning.
played with Wolvie. I just played with him on Survive the other night.
Oh, that's right. You did, and I couldn't get in. That's so crazy,
And this
man.
rando lady that we couldn't hear because you can't access the options from the game. You have to go back to the menu.
They need to
But
fix
somebody guessed our code. Our code 123. The same as my luggage. And
what's crazy is
our
this random chick can get in there, but I couldn't find the fucking thing.
Yeah, right.
Stupid.
You think it's because was Wolvie playing on Viveport or does he have it on Steam? Because maybe it's a Viveport thing.
Were you playing on Viveport?
I was, yes.
So it may be that the Viveport people can't join game. That would be weird that you could still host one, but not join, right? You'd think
It took a minute for my thing to even show up. I mean, I was in that lobby for fucking 10, 15 minutes before Wolvie could find me.
He was on Viveport too. So
on Viveport as well. Well, I don't know.
Weird.
It shoots that theory all to hell.
Like
it is weird, and it's a damn shame because the game's actually good. Like it's way better than we remember it being.
It looked good. That's why I was so frustrated. I refreshed. I tried to get in there for 30 minutes straight, and it just was not happening.
It's as if the Zero Caliber developers made a zombie shooter. 'Cause that's what it's like. You got all that attachments and stuff, and really cool weapon mechanics. But it's an Arizona Sunshine style game that's built around looting and scavenging, tons of zombies to kill, and there's a story driving you through it. Big map, 4-player co-op if it works. a lot to like about that game, for real. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap up our episode. Zayla Maru, be sure to hit me up on Discord or Twitter or Patreon, whatever you choose, and we'll get that key over to you ASAP so you can be ready to play when the update drops in just a few hours.
Yep.
Anyway, if you guys like the video, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button, but don't forget to ring the bell as well so that you can be notified next time we go live, which won't be long. If you want to do a little something extra, help support us, you can support us on Patreon, where for as little as $3 per month, you can gain access to our weekly show notes, insider updates, exclusive content, all for less than $1 per week. What an awesome deal. Almost as good as Viport.
Steel.
When it works.
And of course, if you guys are sad to see us go, you want to be able to talk to us when we're not sitting in front of a camera or microphone, you can do so by joining our community on Discord. There's a link down below, an invitation link. It's free to join, and we're in there lurking 24/7, talking about so much more than VR, but also a lot of VR. Anyway, with that said, friends, I'd like to thank you all once again for watching. And for Eric and Roots, I'm Wes. We will see you very, very soon, Friday, on Q2C. 12 hours for breast cancer awareness. Be sure to tune in. Bye.
Take it easy.
See you later.